Let's go.
The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Valley, hooey Hollywood, where any office boy or young mechanic can be a panic with just a good-looking pan. And any barmaid can be a star maid if she dances with or without a plan. Hooray for Hollywood, where you're terrific if you're even good. Where anyone at all from Shirley Temple to Amy Semple is equally understood. Go out and try your luck.
Ladies and oh my god!
Pretty sure your first one got in there. Pretty sure his first one got in there before the intro started. Actually.
Yeah, I think he did. You gonna be fucking good, or do I have to brat tame you too, asshole?
No, I'll be good.
Okay, that's your one. Next time it's 5 across the eyes. Anyway, I can start the show now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children and Zach of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood. And
the one direction you haven't hit. You got 4 corners. You hit 3 of them multiple times.
Some people go both ways. Ladies and gentlemen, the host of these here proceedings,
for the
he's
week,
hanging in. He's hanging in the tram, watching people sashay past my steps, by my porch, in front of my door. Church bells are ringing, choirs are singing, while Zach Strobel groans and Alexis Hejna moans in a blessed tone. Down in the trim, it's just me and Winfree. We're all going crazy, buck jumping and we're having fun. Ladies and gentlemen, sashaying in the trim, Robert Winfree.
I don't know the song you just butchered, but my apologies to whatever crooner originally did that, I assume.
That was John Boutte, and that is the theme song to David Simon's Treme, which lasted 3.5 seasons on HBO. Okay. Currently being reviewed by myself and my primary partner, who there shall be no others before him or me, Jesse Salter, as we go from the corner to the deuce.
Okay, look.
There he is. Robert Winfree.
I have to point out that Mark is making assertions about Jesse that Jesse disputes. Just throwing that out there.
He cannot confirm nor deny. All right. Show.
He denies. Over. He denies a lot.
He can blink all he wants, but all I see is yes.
And when he is before Congress eventually, the denials will be effusive. All right. With some of our silliness out of the way, but not all of it. I'm Robert. That's Mark. You've already heard from the other two, but I'll bring them on in more appropriate fashion. We have joining us Alexis Hejna, per more or less usual. How you doing, Alexis?
Yeah, sorry, but your collaborator's in another castle.
Mark's is, at the very least. And doing bad Italian impressions all night and probably getting us canceled on Twitter, Zachary Strobel. Zach, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Please do that. I'm going to give me a sec. You do your bad Mario impression. I'm going to call Robert Cooper and I'm going to have him do Bane the entire night. Whether or not you've seen the movie is irrelevant to me. It is be your reckoning, Batman. We'll kill the Mario.
Have you actually?
So terrible.
I'm just saying, look up Tom Hardy talking about that voice.
Yeah.
Because the guy he got it from is kind of like John. It's kind of like John Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the old King of the Gypsies, who's got that weird kind of like. It's
not
quite
Northern
tonight,
Irish. Robert?
Well, at the moment, we're talking about your obsession with Tom Hardy's Bane voice.
No, it's not my obsession with Tom Hardy's Bane. It's my obsession with Robert Cooper's impression of Bane. But hey, we have like a live audience that Zach
That's
brought
a
with
lie.
him. Zach, like a rapper, brought a posse. So, like, let's get to it so that we don't lose everybody.
Too late.
Mm.
Well, tonight, everyone, we are talking about, and I apologize to all of you for Mark's pronunciation of Mario, because,
Who, Mario?
yeah, that.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
changing
not going to
it.
stop. That's not going to stop.
Nope, I'm not changing it.
Whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
We are reviewing the Super Mario Brothers movie, brought to you by the good people over at Illumination and Universal.
And Nintendo.
Sure. I just don't believe there are good people at Nintendo. Well, if you're anything like our first commenter here who has not yet seen the movie, fair warning, I'm going to go through the plot in detail such that it exists. So,
Okay. Well,
heads up.
let's do our TikTok-y segment for the evening. Hey, Zach, the Lego Maniac, what's your how did you play Mario when you were a kid? Like, how did you come to the game? How did you come to the IP? How did you come to love Mario to where they make a movie in the year of our Lord 2023, and you're like, I got to be there, and then I got to be on this review to talk about it.
Well, I'm actually playing Mario right now, and props. Lots and lots of props, which is so I actually have the All-Star collection. So this hand, I did not have to buy. I shouldn't have bought, but I am a big fan of Mario. I grew up in PlayStation house, but I really like the games. I actually like that old movie that came out.
The Bob Hoskins one?
I grew up with it. That's my excuse.
Okay. Yep. I can't shame you for liking something as a child.
But I'm actually
You really can.
but I really do like Mario. I mean, I'm wearing a shirt also. So but yeah, I really enjoy like the simplicity of it. I mean, it's basically just like your it's basically like a fairy tale into a game. It's like, go save the princess, and then they just did whatever they wanted. They just made turtles flying out of the ground and shooting squids with, I don't know. You just had to be there, man. Yep. But so honestly, I got excited. Well, actually, I got annoyed when I heard Illumination was making it, but then I heard that Nintendo was getting like complete control over it. So then I got happy again. And yeah, I know this is like really like a fan movie, so we'll get into that. But that's what made me excited, like, to see this, because I mean, the old movie was just kind of like, I don't know what they did. It was entertaining, but it's nice to see it represented.
It's incomprehensible.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hi, Cleo.
Yeah, we actually have a pretty sizable audience tonight. Most again, people that Zach brought in, because you're awesome, Zach. So we're getting a lot of comments tonight. And how about you, Alexis? Same sort of table setting question. What's your experience with the IP? What did you play? What did you like, etc.? What did you see?
When I was little, like little, my mom would leave me with my aunt. She was my primary babysitter, and my cousin and I would have sleepovers at her place, and my aunt had a classic Nintendo, and we would play Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. And I remember being a little kid who couldn't even do multiplication yet, screaming at the TV about how come the stupid gun wasn't working and why the dog was laughing at me and how much I hated that dog. I have played Mario games.
That dog mocked me.
That dog did mock me. I was a child.
I was a child, and you knew it, Indy. Sorry, I slipped into something else.
No, I have been obsessed with Mario. I have played Mario games my whole life. I still play them. Admittedly, I don't have a lot of time to play a ton of games, but my husband and I constantly take breaks just to play Mario Kart. And if we've got a night off and we want to relax, we break out Mario Party and we just have a great time with that. What, you got the Mario card? Yep, hold it up.
So I'm older than dirt, as we all know. As you can tell by
you're
my-
the old man in the mountains and you don't want them painted.
Not even a little.
Don't paint mountains, people.
So you can tell how old I am by my long dwarven beard. But I did play at almost any iteration. You know, I played Donkey Kong, which of course had Mario running up the thing to save the princess from the giant ape and all of that. You know, and then they did the Mario Brothers game, and then the Super Mario Brothers, and like I played almost every iteration, probably up till 3, and then after 3, I was old and getting older and did not necessarily follow. Could you please stop with the props now? It was like sorry, I gotta and there's banging things in pots and pans over there.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, I think at 3 I stopped and I just moved on to other stuff. Like it happens when you get older. Also, I had friends in high school who would have Mario Kart parties, and the one thing, yes, Donkey Kong, giant ape. And the one thing I learned about myself with video games is that I do not have the hand-to-eye coordination to do anything fast. Because all these little 10th graders around me, and I'm a senior in high school, fucking zipping around corners and just all swish about it. And then there's me, it's I don't understand what I'm doing, and falling off the Rainbow Bridge.
Rainbow Road.
Yep, nerd. Anyway,
Taste the rainbow.
You're about
We
to.
did that a couple of weeks ago, and screw that movie.
So long story short, I played a lot of the games. I remember the Bob Hoskins movie. I remember it being terrible, and even then, I was a snooty film critic, and I was like, this is terrible. I'm not watching this. I didn't
How
have
have you? One of these days, Mark, you and I are going to sit down. We're going to have the conversation about how your taste in movies regressed over time instead of progress.
It goes in a circle.
What makes me laugh actually hardest about the Bob Hoskins movie, first of all, yeah, it is bad.
Mhm.
But what makes me laugh the hardest is you actually go back and watch it and you realize all the little things they put in there that they were trying to be homages to the games.
Right.
And it's you didn't catch that watching it. Then you have to totally break it down. You got that final scene with them, with Mario and King Koopa walking to each other over the bridge. That's obviously,
Mhm.
To the castle level in classic Mario. He's in that little, I don't know what it was. It was a cup thing that was holding for construction
Mhm.
purposes, and he's shooting at him with his flamethrower gun. It's okay, obviously that's Super Mario World when he's in the clown Koopa copter. That's what that thing's called. So it's hilarious when you actually think about where they tried.
That's not good.
So it's one of those things where
Yeah.
I played it as a kid. I might have seen the cartoon when that was a thing. And so I have some, experience with the IP, but I don't have, I think, the love of it that people do. People, obviously, and we're going to talk about this when we get to the money in an hour or so. People have this connection to it and love for it that, when done properly, they show up in droves to see it and appreciate it. I don't really have that kind of emotional connection to it, but I brought that up because I went through this with my son, who, when he got into video games, he specifically got into Mario. In the Mario world at the time. I got him a Switch and he had Mario Odyssey, and that was all he played for a while. And for 4, 5, 6, 7, he that was his whole world. Everything, he was Bowser for Halloween one year. His birthday parties were Mario themed. And I remember, yeah, his room was Mario themed for a while. He was just Dad, I don't like all these superhero shit you put up here before I was even born. We went to a comic book convention of some description. I don't remember if it was MegaCon or one of the anime conventions or whatnot.
MarioCon.
It was not MarioCon. But
Yes.
he actually asked us to buy him art of this really pretty Mario character print that he has hanging up on his wall. And I remember being a kid and having things that I loved and seeing those things that I loved on screen. I was relating this to not the necessarily how good the movie is, but just the experience of it, seeing The Phantom Menace as an adult, because I was a Star Wars kid. I'm born in 76. And, and so I'm, 1 when A New Hope comes out, 3 when Empire comes out, and then 6, I think, when Jedi comes out in 83. So Phantom Menace is the very first time I can experience something I loved and treasured on the screen. And I remember how it made me feel and how excited I was and what utter joy there was. And I wanted that for him with this movie because I saw how much he loved it, in the early part of his childhood. Like he's fucking 20 now. He's 9. And I'll get to it when we start talking about the movie, but I was really excited about this movie for him to see something that he loved up on screen. And that brings us down to you there, cleanup hitter. What's your experience with this property?
Not much. I mean, I played it some when I was younger. I tapped out kind of around Mario 64. That was for a variety of reasons. That particular console was not readily available to me. My family was more PC gaming at the time, and then it just never. I never really got back into it. I mean, I've played the originals. I think I've beaten most of them at this point, just because I can. But it was never my like emotional IP of choice. It was they're fun games. I don't dislike them.
Right. All right, so let's get into the plot of the Super Mario Brothers movie.
There is no plot.
Let's get into the several fight scenes slightly strung together by some dialogue. Hey, for those watching for the very first time, if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want it spoiled, come back. Well, this is Robert doing the plot synopsis in an hour and a half. No, come back in a couple of minutes. Robert will be done with this, and then we'll get into. I mean, our discussion is going to talk about several plot points, but like if you don't want a recitation of the plot, tune out for a couple of minutes and come back in a few. All right,
use the warp whistle.
Hit it, Darren. You know the
right.
reference.
Sort of. I know it came up recently, but all right. So the Super Mario Brothers movie. We open with the Mario Brothers, as they have broken off from another.
No, we start off with Bowser.
Okay, yeah, we start off with Bowser as he nukes the penguins.
Yes.
You got to nuke something.
Yeah, yes, we have to have our Star Destroyer, capturing the Carillion Corvette scene.
It's basically the scene from the first teaser where we get to hear Carrie Payton's awesome deep voice as the Penguin King as Bowser takes his superstar.
Finds the superstar. Apparently, it's the only one.
And then we go back to that one Beastie Boys song, "No Sleep Till Brooklyn." Did your thing.
Well, I was going to say we go back to the Super Mario Brothers, who have started their own plumbing business, and they get a call, and then they run through the streets of New York to go do their plumbing job, to the strains of Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
It's not Sabotage, you lunatic.
It was Sabotage. It was a Beastie Boys song. Sabotage. That's how this works.
The worst part about I love that the fact that we have an audience tonight. I love the fact that when people work and promote the show and we get people to come in for the first time. The worst part about that though is I have to explain to poor innocent doe-eyed people that you're an insane person, and that's a running gag.
Beastie Boys song, Sabotage. That's how this works.
Please move this on.
So the gig doesn't go all that well because nothing good can happen to your heroes in the first act. It's kind of fine. There's a big Italian family who mock Mario and Luigi because, of course, they do. And Mario doesn't like mushrooms. Just doesn't like them.
This is important.
Very. They decide to then try and save whatever borough they're in. I think it's Queens.
It's Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn, you nut.
I thought it was Queens. All right.
No, it's Brooklyn.
No, hey, come on. They have always been from Brooklyn or
Okay.
Jump City, whichever game you're using.
So there's a minor issue, and the household plumbers decide we will, of our own accord, interfere with the work of the Department of Water Services, Department of Workforce Services. We will go down and we will save the city from this water issue. This doesn't go well, and they wind up finding a green pipe, and it sucks them into the other land, wherever they go. And Luigi winds up falling towards the Haunted Mansion because he's Luigi. And Mario winds up in the Mushroom Kingdom, where he is accosted by Toad. And
I love you say accosted like that. Yeah, it just kills me that this is such a happy, fun movie, and you are. I'm realizing quickly, Robert. It doesn't matter if it's a good movie or a bad movie. Whenever we have to listen to you give the plot exposition, you do it with just this anger of why am I here?
I can impose my own disdain and anger onto anything. Doesn't matter how much I like it.
Robert doesn't have a lot, but his plot synopsis where he can sort of just molest the movie that we're talking about, like, just give it to him, Alexis. Just let him have it.
I was just listening to him talk about it. It's like, wow, why do you sound so negative over what we all agreed is a good movie? Spoilers.
So he's accosted by Toad, while Luigi is menaced by the skeletal remains of Koopas. He is chased through the Outlands and the Badlands, and he can't find a pod racing scene. So he winds up getting abducted by Shy Guys who take him to Bowser. While Toad takes Mario to meet the princess of the Mushroom Kingdom because she's the bestest. She'll fix everything.
Yes, we learned in this movie that the princess's name is actually Rey Palpatine.
Who are you to assume?
Her pronouns?
Her last name. Anyone can be anything, right?
That's right.
Palpatine is going to reform the Jedi Order.
Let's move this on.
How's your Star Wars fandom these days, Mark?
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of the thing.
So Bowser has magical scrying powers because he knows everything the heroes are going to do before they do it. His plan is to use the superstar that he has garnered. It's one of the rarest power-ups that exist across these worlds. And with it, he will propose marriage to Peach. And if she refuses, he will use the star, which makes him invincible, and level the Mushroom Kingdom. And he is informed that Mario is here and that the princess kind of likes him, and Bowser, being an irrational narcissist, freaks out and decides, I must have vengeance.
Yeah, so far in terms of like human dating and couple arrangements, this all tracks for me and the way people behave.
I'm sure it does.
It was all spot on.
So Mario winds up talking with Peach, and she's like, hey, another human, another non-toadstool individual of anthropomorphized form. And okay, I'm going to go talk with the Kongs, and they will give me their army, for they have the mightiest army in all the realms. And Mario's like, hey, my brother might be around there, so let me tag along. And she goes, no, I don't know you. You're strange. I'm not going on a camping trip with you. Go away, and there's no more movie. Now, actually, she goes, fine, spend the evening while I prepare for this important diplomatic mission. Rather than doing anything useful, I will watch you try and fail all night at this training course. And if you can win the training course, you can come with me. And Mario fails all the way through. And then she goes, tag along anyway. So Mario and Peach and Toad, they head off for the island of the Kongs. And they eventually...
Kong Island?
No, it would be Skull Island.
And that's when Godzilla showed up and the dam broke.
Look. They
if you actually play the original Sim City for the SNES, you can have Bowser show up and level your city Godzilla style.
Nice.
So they eventually wind up in Donkey Kong Country, where walls are just a suggestion.
I have that prop, but I won't get it.
Thank you.
Hey, that is one of the most broken games ever. It's just terrible.
Wait, Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Country?
Country.
That was my favorite game as a kid.
The one on the 64?
No, the one on the SNES.
No, I'm talking about the 64 one.
Okay. No, you have to call that Donkey Kong 64.
Oh, all right. So 64, yeah. No, the one on the SNES is fine.
Yeah, no, that's a classic.
So they arrive in Donkey Kong Country, and they go to talk with old man Fred Armisen, doing a really bad Mel Brooks impression.
I'm convinced that Fred Armisen was basically just told by the directors, don't have any character.
Or just make the worst noise imaginable.
He's a funny actor. We talked about him briefly when we reviewed History of the World Part 2. It's just like, Fred, we know you're better than this. What the hell?
I don't. So he's there and he's bored, and Princess Peach goes, I have diplomatic credentials. Can you loan us your army? And together we can fight off Bowser. And he goes, but your mushrooms are useless to us. I'm not going to risk my army. Bowser can do whatever. And Mario gets his hackles up and he goes, "Yeah, no, you listen here. Princess Peach is the bestest, and you should give her what she wants." And he goes, "Oh, so tell you what, if you can beat my son in a contest, I'll let you. I'll lend you my army, because large-scale diplomatic matters of war and are settled via personal conflict."
Completely screwing the lore, because Cranky is actually Donkey Kong's grandfather.
Oh my god.
So Mario says, "Okay, I will fight your son. He's got to be a disappointment to you." And Seth Rogen comes out, and we all know he's a disappointment to everyone. So Donkey Kong shows up, and Donkey Kong and Mario get into a little bit of a scuffle. They play around with power-ups. Mario becomes Cat Mario.
Super Bell power-up.
Meowrio, if you will.
I love it. Robert, I'm just going to say this. You're not the first person to ever make that joke.
Of course not. As soon
It's
as
his
they put it
persona.
in there, as soon as they put that power up in there, somebody
Before
else made
Zach says it, can I go ahead and say that reference was perfect? I saw a little bit of your soul die. Thank you.
Okay, Mark, I have. No, I'm going to leave that. I'll save that for later. Save that for later.
On.
Mario eventually wins. The Kongs are like, "All right, the fastest way for us to get back to the Mushroom Kingdom is via product placement. So, Mario Karts."
Right.
So they all make different carts. There's motorcycles and a big wheel and a big 4x4 and go-karts, and everyone's like, "Okay, we will take the Rainbow Road to get back to the Mushroom Kingdom, where we will fight Bowser." And Bowser, with his omniscient perspective.
I'm sorry. When they were when Bowser shows up and they have the battle on Rainbow Road, were you not expecting at least one shot of somebody with a guitar on top of one of the carts?
I was really hoping.
I swear, I was like crossing my fingers. Like, I normally don't do that kind of thing in a movie. Like, just let the movie be the movie. They're like, come on, Fury Road reference.
You could, like, if there was ever a time.
Yeah, really.
Could have worked if they worked in a Mario Kart Double Dash reference, because that's when you actually get two players on one cart.
How does that work?
True. Complicated and not very well mechanically.
So
they travel on Rainbow Road, but Bowser, with his omniscient perspective, goes, "You fools! You've activated my trap card." And he and his army show up, and he just summarily and easily destroys the Kong army, like the mightiest army in all the realms. And Bowser's just like, "Nah, I got claw machines. I got you all now."
Yeah.
And blue shells.
There is a blue shell that shows up and nukes Mario. Eventually, Princess Peach makes her way back to the Mushroom Kingdom, where she goes, "We have to fight." And the mushrooms are all like, "But we're useless. We really should just turn into Goombas at this point. We're of more value than that form." While Mario and Mario and Donkey Kong wind up in the belly of the beast in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, somehow they found Monstro.
It really did.
And Monstro looks better than the one in
It did.
Mexico.
It really did.
No notes.
Where Mario and DK do the classic frenemy thing. Classic. But it's utterly devoid of character because Seth Rogen is a black hole. But they eventually fight their way out. And around the same time, Bowser shows up at the Mushroom Kingdom and he proposes to Princess Peach. And she goes, "Are you high?"
And we go, "It's Jack Black." So probably.
Probably.
They're on shrooms.
No, I will give him the rim shot.
I was holding off. I was like, I don't know.
The next one gets crickets. That one gets a rim shot.
Come on, we're almost done here.
I know. So Bowser's like, "Well, if you will not join me by force, then I will torture all of your toadstools until you agree to marry me." Because Bowser has taken his courting schools from that of El Guapo from the Three Amigos.
Yes.
"You do not force the flower to open, you wait for it to bloom naturally. And you think she'll be ready to bloom tonight, or I will kill her."
That also tracks for me.
I'm sure it does. So Princess Peach, to save Toad from too much pain, says, "Yes, I will marry you." And this is a lie. Toad is able to sneak her a power-up, an ice flower instead of the fire flower. And she fights back. She freezes Bowser. She stops everyone from being lowered into lava ritualistically for some reason. But she is kind of bound up by the sheer number of Koopas that exist. And then Mario shows up. He's like, "Yay, you did it, Peach. You're the bestest." And then Bowser breaks out because he sees someone else talking to his woman, and he can't have that. His ego is too fragile.
That also tracks for me.
So Bowser breaks out of his ice prison, and all hell breaks loose. Eventually, Mario, utilizing the Tanuki, the raccoon suit, he leads a bullet bill away from the Mushroom Kingdom, which was about to be nuked, leads him down the magical green pipe that takes you back to the real world, or at least the world of Illumination. And it explodes partway down the wormhole, and much like in Pacific Rim, if you do it at just the right point, the whole thing collapses, and it creates a black hole, and it sucks in everything. So part of Magical World winds up erupting through the streets of Brooklyn.
The moment that we're pretty sure the directors were trying to homage the 93 Super Mario Brothers.
That tracks.
No, I'm serious. That moment.
No, I believe you.
I was like, tell me I'm not the only one who thought that when he's like, we're back in Brooklyn, and then Bowser's little floating castle thing shows up. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, I'm waiting. It's like, tell me there's a moment where Bowser looks at someone and goes, monkey.
There were actual monkeys. He could have done it.
So close.
So Peach and Donkey Kong and Mario and Luigi all kind of start fighting, but Luigi's a wuss and he gets kicked out of the way very easily. And Mario, for some reason at this point, decides his character arc is about learning to overcome fear despite never being an issue before.
No, it's that he was told he was a nothing, no good.
Stop!
person.
I'll deal with that one when I get.
Well, no, but that's really what happened. Is the whole movie is about him not feeling good enough, and then in this moment he gets past that and does the hero thing of overcoming his self-doubt and saving the day. So he runs out there with his busted shoulder and he faces down the bigger bully enemy.
And Luigi finally finds the bravery to come in and help his brother because, as they've said multiple times, when the two of them are together, they can defeat anything.
They are Strike Force. They are Demolition. They are the Powers of Pain. They are the Heart Foundation. I can keep going if you don't stop.
I was going to go with the Double Dragon reference, personal,
keep
keeping in the Nintendo family.
Keep going.
They are Enzo and Big Kaz. They are the Alpha Academy. I'm just gonna name bad.
Keep going.
Ones. No, shut up. Just keep going.
Keep going.
No.
Professor and Marianne.
That's the one.
Marks, you ran out of tag teams very quickly. That's all.
No, I could be the next hour and a half naming tag.
You could if I wasn't saying keep going.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
So Mario and
hang on, you're doing a very good job. You're a nice girl, Alexis.
Thank you.
So Mario and Luigi dive for the superstar. They both become invincible. They beat up Bowser. Then they force feed him the tiny shroom that shrinks him down, even though you lose that if you get hit. So he's tiny, but you can't actually do physical damage to him.
I love our audience.
They're awesome, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're able to imprison Tiny Bowser, into a bird cage. And
they give him his piano so he can keep playing music.
Because merchandise.
Because potential Oscar nomination. They confirmed today that song is eligible for a nomination.
God, I hope it wins.
Me too.
I just wanted to get nominated. I just want to see Jack Black in that. They released a freaking official music video with him in a Bowser costume playing the piano.
You all are the worst. I just want you to know
I have no problem with that.
Anyway, everything goes back to normal. Like, the people of Brooklyn realize that the Super Mario Brothers are awesome. Mario and Luigi decide, screw all of you. We're going to go live in the Mushroom Kingdom.
That was great.
So apparently the rest of the world goes back to living as normal, somewhat ignoring the giant portals to other worlds that exist under the streets of New York. But Bowser is captured. The Kongs recover from their crushing military defeat.
And there's a certain green and white striped egg left in Brooklyn.
And then our post-credits...
That was actually a good Yoshi, man.
Thank you.
Then, our mid-credit scene is Bowser being schooled because he's still tiny, even though, again, if you hit him, he regrows, so weird balance there. And then our post-credit scene is one of the Yoshis, the famous green Yoshi, hatching under the sewer, under the streets of Brooklyn, where he will meet other green-shelled organisms, I'm fairly sure. And
All right, Zach, hit it, Darren.
Okay. So, I was really excited for this movie after I found out that Nintendo. Oh wait, I said that part already. Anyway, moving on. I do have one big problem with the movie, but I've kind of learned to accept it. For whatever reason, this movie is very, very short, and the thing is, I kind of want, which is kind of a sad thing.
92 minutes, which is the average length of a feature, at least when films were, when there was self-control.
And it's still the average length, I would say, of most animated films.
Yeah.
That is true. But for some reason, I feel like this movie was like trying to be like a 2-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, it seems very, very trimmed, and the pacing is really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like the movie it wants to get to all the stuff that you recognize from all the games, like the Mario Kart, the like beginning level, all that stuff. So it's just
really
moving on.
It's really trying to turn all of us into the DiCaprio pointing meme.
Exactly. Which is cool, and that's kind of what I wanted. But the problem is, like, it goes really, really fast, and it's like it comes like at a lot of character development. But the thing is, it's like they start it, and they were like, I was abandoned as a child. The Toads raised me. Well, that sucks. Anyway, so we're going to go drive some golf carts. And
we have no time for character development. Let's go.
We'll just start it so people won't complain that it's not there. But but then I was just like in my mind, I'm like, this is really confusing. But I'm like, no, everything is there. On paper, everything is there. Shut up. Enjoy your movie. Put popcorn in your stupid face and enjoy it. And then once I was like, darp, okay. The movie was actually really, really good. Because, but the movie was actually, but with all honesty, I really did have a blast watching it. It's obviously made for fans first. Mm-hmm. And it honestly, whoever, like the thing is with a lot of reboots, I feel like they don't understand the source material. This one just like they knew, honestly, too much because they tried to throw everything, every little Easter egg, every reference, and honestly, it shows, and it's infectious. This is a really good movie. I really liked it.
Right. Sorry, keep going. Sorry.
No, I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, it would have been cool if they explored more of the characters, but again, I realize it is Super Mario Brothers. It is a movie mainly for children first, before adults and fans. So I do embrace it because I think that's also, and we'll get into this, like why it made so much money, because I would see it again, especially on the big screen. It was really good.
Yeah, we saw it in IMAX, and it was worth every penny.
Oh, lucky.
Yeah.
I paid extra for IMAX too. I loved it.
All right, keep going, Alexis.
Okay, so in the interest of being fair, I will say there were a few points in this movie that if I have to nitpick, I will go ahead and nitpick. First of all, and for the record, most of these I would say are minor things. First of all, way too many slow-mo shots of Mario going, Mamma Mia, or something like that. I felt like that joke really got overdone.
They did it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, they really beat a dead horse on that one.
Oh, wait, don't we have a...
I mean...
There we go.
Okay.
I don't have my Blazing Saddles VHS. I only have Spaceballs.
I love you, Zach. Okay, no.
When is then now? Soon. All right, keep going.
No, just little, like I said, I get tired when, movies overdo a joke like that. Mm-hmm. Number 2, we briefly touched on this. Seth Rogen and Fred Armisen, 2, I would say, fairly decent actors who we have seen do good voiceover work in the past. I don't know what the deal was here. I don't know if they just said they weren't going to try and the directors were too busy doing other shit to go back and tell them to give a crap.
Like there was a discussion in pre-production. Look, the voice work is the least important part of this movie. Honestly, it could be a fucking silent film.
I'm pretty sure they were too busy watching over Charlie Day and Chris Pratt to worry about how Fred Armisen and Seth Rogen were going to sound. Again, I've heard these two be really, really funny in voiceover work, you know, and it's like, you guys can try better than this. Hell, Robert, I know that you kept making jokes about how they need to recast Donkey Kong because we know we're getting a DK spinoff. We know this is coming.
Seriously,
Donkey Kong.
Do not get Seth Rogen back for that. Find someone who doesn't suck.
I am fine with Seth Rogen coming back. Just get a fucking voice director who pays attention to him.
Any good voice director is probably a better voice actor than Seth Rogen.
Like I said, I've seen him in a ton of stuff that he does voiceover work. Hell, he was hilarious. Mark, I know you're with me on this. He was hilarious in the Chip and Dale movie that just came out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, he was really funny.
Yeah, he
Who
has
was he in that?
Yeah.
Who was he? We reviewed it.
He was, I can't remember the character's name. He was the 3D Viking who served under the evil Peter Pan,
yeah,
and they kept making jokes about how he couldn't look in the right direction because he was from the Uncanny Valley.
Okay. So
Bob, that's the character's name.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
so point being there, he's funny enough in short bits, but if he has to actually be a character, he struggles.
Well, either way, like I said, I'm just convinced that they did not give them any attention because, yeah, those two. It goes because, you know, Zach, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Everyone was freaking out over Chris Pratt getting the role of Mario, and there has been just this monster wave of, you know, voice actors instead of celebrities, and he's going to sound awful. And I think he sounded great.
Okay.
I think Chris Pratt really nailed the role. I genuinely did.
He didn't just show up and sound like Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought it sounded
into it.
Hey, I want to address the comment on screen because it really relates to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll let some of this stuff go because we'll be here all night reading comments.
This is something that really made
hang
waves.
on. How's about getting a real voice actor? Jim Cummings, Cree Summers, Frank Welker, etc. Why don't you respond to that, Alexis?
Okay, like I said, this is something that really did get a big wave when they announced that Chris Pratt was going to do the voice of Mario. There was a lot of backlash, especially among the voice acting community, who were furious. They didn't like that Charles Martinet was not going to play Mario, even though Martinet is in the movie.
He got his check.
And he plays Mario and Luigi's dad, which I
really?
thought was like
That's cool.
perfect. I love that they had him do that.
Yeah, if he can't get Captain Lou Albano, that was the second best choice.
Was his mom Mama Luigi? I'm sorry. Like 3 people got that reference.
Yeah.
I deserve that.
Yeah, sorry. Robert said next time crickets.
I'm really making a big use of that soundboard tonight.
And I think actually the part that got me so upset with everyone saying, you know, Chris Pratt shouldn't do it is that Martinet is not just the voice of Mario. He's the voice of Mario, Luigi, Waluigi, and Wario. And their baby counterparts too and everything. And I was just sitting there going, so everyone's against Chris Pratt. How come I'm not seeing a single argument against Charlie Day as Luigi if you're going to fight over voice actors versus celebrities?
I need to address that really quick.
Because people don't like Chris Pratt.
This came up. No, there's a real serious discussion to be had here because it relates back to something that happened a little ways back. There was a movement in the woke Hollywood and on Twitter about if you have a voice actor, the voice actor has to be what the character is. So if you have a black character on screen, it has to be voiced by a black actor. This most directly affected some of the Simpsons cast, who, you know, a lot of white voice actors, very talented voice actors, but they were doing non-white characters like.
Well, technically they're yellow, but go on.
And you know, and so you had a lot of like longtime Simpsons fans like freaking out about like, why are you firing these people from their decades-old job when they're doing a fine job of it just to satisfy some like virtue signaling nonsense from a very niche part of the culture.
Who
And
probably
the thing of
don't-
it is that never went away. It doesn't get talked about
Yeah.
nearly as much. There isn't a lot of attention being paid to it at the moment, but it's come up a bunch.
and it's really stupid.
Mhm.
It's really stupid.
The Chris Pratt thing as Mario was an extension of that, because if you'll remember, it wasn't just Chris Pratt. It wasn't like he's a terrible actor, we hate Star-Lord. It was, why didn't you get an Italian or a Latino for Mario? Like, you got a white bread standard American actor for this role when you should have been something that's more reflective of the actual character. You know, a whole invention for a video game. And this is how stupid people get with some of this stuff. And poor Chris Pratt was like, I took a role. I took a job. I was offered a job. I got it.
You're an actor. Your job is to be something other than what you are. You pretend to be something different. Oh,
Right.
no.
I'm
Right.
still mad they didn't get a real dinosaur to be Bowser.
No, exactly.
right?
Why couldn't we get a giant fire-breathing turtle? I'm sure there's a working turtle out there.
Oh, and let's not get started on John Leguizamo's complaints.
That idiot.
Oh my God! So, you threw it out there. You might as well give it some attention. Go.
Yeah, so Leguizamo, who we know played Luigi in the 93 Super Mario Brothers movie, because, oh yeah, let's remember, where do we have real Italians? 93 movie had a Brit and a Latino playing the Italians.
Right.
Mamma mia.
Like you do.
Yeah, exactly. Leguizamo was asked in an interview recently if he was going to go see the new one, and he actually flat out said no, because there are no Latin cast members, and he feels that it's not being inclusive enough. Despite and he actually he threw around the word inclusive. You know, it's like he doesn't like that stuff. To which a lot of people pointed out, okay.
I agree. I think white people should only see white movies with white people in it. Blacks should only see black people in it. You know, and let's go separate but equal. Let's wind the clocks back over 100 years.
Well, a lot of people also quickly pointed out Anya Taylor-Joy is actually half Argentinian. Now,
oh, good.
No.
Check.
Okay, hold on. Here's the thing about that, Alexis, and you have to understand the inherent racism of these people when they make these arguments. There's a group of people who don't count. Argentinians do not count as Latinos because they're too white. These are the same idiots who will look at someone from South Africa and go, "You're not African unless you're black."
Very true. But yeah, there was just a massive argument against Chris Pratt as a whole, because there has been, and admittedly, yes, I think we can all name a handful of animated films where it was clear that the producers, the directors, who the hell ever was in charge, wanted a big celebrity name attached.
Gotta sell it.
Yeah, and we listened to them do that, and we all said, "Dear God, why the hell did you hire this person?" Yeah, Justin Timberlake in Shrek 3, anyone?
Anything else about the movie, Alexis?
Okay, so yeah, that was my second complaint. My third complaint, I was actually very upset at the lack of Luigi. This is a minor. Now, I'm not going to complain that Princess Peach was not the one who needed to be rescued. I am fine with this. A lot more modern games have had her not to have to be the one who gets rescued, and she's a playable character, and she's awesome. And I even love that they gave her some of the tropes that we've seen in previous games. When she jumps off the flagpole and floats like she does in Super Mario 2, I giggled really hard. That was a nice touch.
That was a good one, yeah.
But the movie is called The Super Mario Brothers, and you got that scene where Luigi's in the Badlands and he takes out the dry bones, and then he's getting chased by them, and he runs into the Shy Guys. I'm like, I want more of this. I really would like to see more of him.
So one of the things my son and I talked about, because he had somewhat of a similar complaint about that, he was fine with, everyone was fine with Louis, and this is the Midnight's Edge argument, which we're going to talk about a lot as we go through some of the money and critical stuff. But Andre from Midnight's Edge talked about people buy into Luigi being the one that's being saved because, one, you don't want to make it Princess Peach because then you get into the whole damsel in distress thing, and that's problematic in the year of our Lord 2023. So why do it? So you got to save somebody. Somebody has to be the damsel in distress. Why not make it Luigi? And my son and I, and Andre, I think, brought this up too, but Luigi is portrayed as the cowardly character. So why not put him in danger, have him be the one that's captured, and then as the movie does, he has to be the one that has to overcome his fear. But what my son and I were talking about was we wish they had done a little bit more with Luigi because he spends most of the movie in a cage.
Exactly.
Why not have had at least a scene or two from Luigi's Haunted Mansion? Like before he gets to Bowser, we wish he had like gone into a house and like had to be like running through the house, from ghosts and shit like you do in the game. My son, FYI, loves Luigi's Haunted Mansion, and he was like, if they were going to throw all of this stuff into the movie and just stuff it full of fan service and various video games through the decades-long career of this IP, why not throw that in there too? Like, you missed an opportunity. The movie's 92 minutes. Throw an extra 5 minutes of Haunted Mansion in there.
I absolutely agree.
The other side of that, though, is you say something for the sequel. But yeah, I'm glad you agree because, like, I have my own thoughts here, but that just the subject of Luigi. I wish they'd done a little bit more with him.
Very briefly on Luigi, this is one of my complaints as well. Like, when his entire time on screen is less memorable than the existential doom star,
the nihilistic Luma.
Yeah, you got a problem. Like that's not a well-handled character in those circumstances.
No, that's actually what they're called in Mario Galaxy. They're the Lumas. Yeah, no, I love the nihilistic Luma. That was hilarious.
It is. It's funny, but like it gets more play and gets over more than Luigi does. Like, and that's a problem.
Yeah, no, I think we're all in agreement. Just one more scene of him running around that abandoned castle or stumbling into a haunted mansion with some ghosts. I mean, for God's sakes, King Boo, who's the bad guy in all three of the Luigi's Mansion movies, was a guest at Bowser's wedding. You could have made that work. So I think we're just in agreement. Just one more scene with him would have been great. Although, yeah, I do think we're going to see more of him in the sequel. My money is that we're going to get Daisy and Wario in the sequel.
Yeah.
Actually,
there's a lot of Wario talk.
Who do you guys think is more likely to be the villain? Wario, Baby Bowser, or the Koopa Kids?
Wario.
He's the fat Mario.
Okay, if I were doing this, I can tell you what I would do, and it wouldn't be. I'd wind up saving Wario for another one. I would actually do the kids breaking Bowser out of prison.
And we're talking about the 7 Koopa Kids from Mario 3 and Super Mario World, not Baby Bowser, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So other than those 3 complaints, actually, Watchwaddle's got another point here. How about Wart?
Yeah.
I could see a team up with Wart. I think that could be good.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get into.
I was just gonna say, it's like, other than those 3 complaints, I adored this movie. I was giggling, jumping up and down in my seat. I could not hold still. Every reference, every musical cue. I mean, can we talk about how amazing the score was to get?
You're gonna start bringing up points I really wanted to talk about.
Okay,
yes,
then I will leave that. I will leave that to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I annoyed the crap out of the people sitting next to me in the theater just because I could not shut up and I could not stop enjoying myself. I have not felt joy watching a movie like this in a long time. I don't think I have had a smile this big since the Battle of the Undusted in Endgame.
Yeah. I saw this with my wife and kids yesterday, actually. And we were recording this on a Tuesday. I saw it Monday. And so just outside of the 5-day window. And I loved every minute of this movie. And like I said, I'm not like super attached to the IP, but yes, I saw the Punch Out and Duck Hunt references from people in our comment section. But my wife and I, are holding hands or, hand on leg or whatever. And like, I'll start with the musical stuff because it was like my favorite part of the movie. Because I had a very Guardians of the Galaxy experience with this, where hear a song evokes an emotion. That emotion is joy, and then it makes you enjoy the movie, whether or not the movie is worth enjoying or not. And, everyone learned the wrong lessons from Guardians of the Galaxy and musical cues.
We have talked about multiple. He did, dude, whatever else you want to say about James Gunn, he was smart enough not to have the upbeat music playing over serious moments.
Yeah. But this movie, like, took the best lessons from Guardians of the Galaxy as opposed to, say, Suicide Squad. And my point with that is they, took sound directly from the game. They took musical score directly from the game. They used it in places that maximized the effect on the audience. Like, if you're talking about like Pavlovian responses, this movie you could have renamed it Pavlov the movie. Like this was all like hit a cue, get the appropriate response. We all took the cookie every time. And I would just squeeze my wife's leg, like you'd hear do 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 do. I'm like,
because Bowser plays that on the piano.
Yeah, all stuff.
Hearing
like
the DK rap as Donkey Kong makes his appearance.
Well, even the very first bit where they're trying to get to the first plumbing gig, and you see Mario
They play Sabotage,
and you see Mario like jumping through the things and everything. Like that's a visual cue. That is you watching this sideline game, and watching Mario do the thing that you did playing the game, and including jumping on the stupid pole with the flag and everything.
Oh, I love that.
It's all awesome. And it's like, there's a part of me, there's that hoity film critic part of me that Chris Bailey is wanting to pull out of me and stab to death. That's like, I understand this is not a hefty movie. This is the slightest of slight movies. It's also children's fare. And to quote, God, to quote friend of the show and longtime partner Sean Comer, just because it's a children's movie doesn't mean it has to be stupid. This movie somehow found the place between perfect for a family general audience, not stupid. It's like it was just slight enough, and it just moved. You talked about the pacing. The problem is, like, if you've ever watched a movie with a kid, this was perfect pacing. Like, you and I talked about like John Wick, and John Wick is 3 hours long, but we talked about like if you ever wanted to show a kid a 3-hour movie, John Wick is fucking perfect. Because it's like it's just all fighting and what's going to capture a kid's attention? It's fighting and stuff like that. And
very briefly, just keep your point.
But
to answer the question on screen,
because he's saying we got to answer this real quick.
Yeah.
Yes, I know they're working on a Zelda series for Netflix.
We're gonna get Zelda something. We're gonna get a Super Mario Brothers 2. We're gonna get Star Fox. I am all for the Smash Brothers connected universe, for the record.
Yeah.
Same, but I think we're all in agreement. Zelda works better as a series.
Well, we'll see. Maybe at some point in production with everything that's happened, they'll go back through it because I don't know where they are with the Zelda series for Netflix, but maybe they'll connect it. Anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We'll be here for another 8 hours. But between the visual and musical cues evoking those appropriate responses from the audience, and the pacing for the movie to be appropriate for children, but also you got to think about the adults watching this thing. They're there with their kids, and maybe some of them will have like some experience with the game and will have the same kind of experience that some of you guys did, but maybe some of them are just there. This is the latest kids thing that they had to take their kids to and have no association with the IP. It was the best pace for the widest audience possible because it moves quick enough that there isn't a lot of time to think about what's happening or the fact that nothing is really happening. It is the Rocky IV of animated films.
How dare you?
It's not as important as Rocky IV was. It didn't cure.
Rocky IV ended the Cold War.
I was just gonna say it didn't end the Cold War or anything, but it is, Rocky IV is a handful of fight and trading scenes loosely connected by dialogue and one awesome montage. And that's kind of what this movie is.
Yeah,
but that's really all it
montages.
That's all it really the no easy way out is the one I'm talking about. But that's what this movie is. It is watch Mario do something from the video game. A little bit of dialogue. Watch Mario do more stuff from the video game. Watch Peach do something from the video game. A little bit of dialogue. Watch Donkey Kong do a thing. Watch Mario and Donkey Kong do a thing. Watch Mario Kart. Watch the final conflict, and we're out. And that is all this movie had to be. And I think this is my problem with a lot of the professional critics, asking this thing to be more than that, more than what the general audience wanted it to be, I think is a bit much. Not everything has to be Gone with the Wind. That being said, so again, I always have the conversation with my kids, like, what are you going to say about the movie? And my reaction in the group chat was it's perfect, no notes. But gun to my head, having to pick at some minor things, I was not in love with Anya Taylor-Joy's voice performance. I actually think she gets. I know you guys are all like wanting to throw Seth Rogen in the Shibeta cell. Like I didn't think he was that bad. Like he was Seth Rogen. He was Seth Rogen. Either you like them or you don't. But I don't think he gave a bad performance per se.
He did.
I think Anya Taylor-Joy. I was not in love with her line delivery. Her voice seemed off. It almost seemed like she had dead to work. Right before she gave her recordings. I didn't love it. Her character was fine. It almost seemed like in the notes on the post on the index card for the character, it was girl boss, and then like left to interpretation. Like there was nothing more to it than that.
Which isn't great.
You have two jobs: be something for girls to look up to, and give exposition. And it's so funny when you lose my 12-year-old feminist daughter. When my 12-year-old feminist daughter more appreciates Toad and like the happy depressive like blob thing in the prison cell. Because I asked her like what was so Lily, what was your favorite character in Mario and why was it Princess Peach? She was like, she was all right. What I really liked was the singing blob thing in the prison, in Bowser's Castle.
You like the physical manifestation of your depression that's coming because it's coming.
Yeah, that's what she liked the best. She thought that was great. That was high comedy. I think that Princess Peach, and we'll talk about this with some of the production stuff, when they went out of their way to try to make her the hero of this thing, and then they left it that way, but they also gave Mario his due. I feel like this was a very lazily written character. She does cool stuff, but okay, cool. And that's why I didn't want to pick at it too hard, but I don't feel like there's anything more to the Peach character than, the Hollywood woke girl feminism insert. And
Hollywood.
The Kathleen Kennedy self-insert.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, according to the critics, it wasn't woke enough.
Yeah.
Well, we'll deal with those idiots when we get to them.
Yeah. And to me, it was like that. It's kind of like when we talk about homosexual characters in modern fiction, where they think homosexual is a character, which is a giant dismissal and a giant insult to that entire group of people from the people that that say they're allies. Making girl boss isn't a character; it's a trait. You can't rest an entire characterization on that. And that's what they went here. It's like, if we just make her kick ass, that's good enough. No, it isn't. That, and I think that was like my only like real major complaint about the movie. If I had, gun to my head, it's gorgeous, but I'll tell you, Illumination, and this has been a running theme. We talked about Universal being the big winner last year. Everyone says it's Paramount because of Top Gun Maverick. Nope. It's Universal.
We did the math.
We ran the numbers. Universal released more hit movies than any other studio last year. Universal, and Robert, you can feel free to disagree, but I don't think you will. Universal is consistently putting out better grade movies than any other studio consistently across the board.
I'd have to double check specifically, but in the absence of specific data to counter the argument, I'll just say there's every chance that's correct.
And when you look at Paramount, Disney, and Warner Brothers, and then Sony's not a real studio anymore. Like,
was it ever?
Other than like the more independents like A24 or something, Universal really is putting is the most consistent, most dependable studio out there, and lending strength to that is Illumination, which by and large is putting out better grade movies than anything coming out of Pixar or Disney almost every single time. And the thing of it is like,
okay, hang on, just on that note,
mm-hmm.
You and I both said that Minions 2,
mm-hmm.
The Rise of Gru, was not, and it was slight. Like Minions actually had some heft to it a little bit.
Right.
I also feel like,
considering our discussion about Minions, about the nature of God in people's lives, it had a little more heft.
But with Minions 2, we kind of went, it was fine. Like it was funny. It was kind of what everyone knew the brief. I would watch Minions 2 before rewatching Lightyear or Strange World in an instant.
Yeah. Like Illumination is, if you just focus on animation studios, Illumination is consistently putting out the best movies. I mean, yeah, sure, you get a Puss in Boots every once in a while, but like I said, Illumination is like as a solid studio. And the difference I think between Illumination based on this movie and some prior ones and what's going on with like Disney and other animation studios is someone at Illumination seems to be going, hey, why don't we just make movies people will like and not really worry about an agenda, not worry about inclusivity or anything else like that. We're just going to kind of take the measure of what people are enjoying right now and just do that. And what do you know? If you compare the money from Illumination to Pixar and Disney proper, and Illumination's outpacing them by millions of dollars. It's ridiculous. And this movie, I mean, this is the high watermark right now. I mean, we'll get to it when we get to the money, but the amount of records this thing broke, all on the premise of respect the IP, don't insult the fans, keep it nice and tight. It accomplished all of those things. I don't really care that it's not fucking Gunga Din. It didn't have to be. It had to be those three things I just mentioned. Robert?
I'm going to agree with most of the positives you guys have listed, and here's my I have a couple of gripes with this thing. One, again, Seth Rogen sucks. Please recast him.
Okay, who would you cast as Donkey? I just want to know, who do you think would be
Elba.
better?
I wouldn't hate Elba.
No, that would be pretty cool, actually.
Actually, you know what? Fine, get Idris Elba to play him. I would be fine with that.
Okay, I Pantsless Production gets Idris Elba for Donkey Kong. Moving on.
Like that's the name of your company.
Yes, it is the name of my company.
Okay.
It's not a real company yet, but
Yet.
Allegedly Mark is working on it.
We're going to incorporate so we can be bought by Amazon because they're buying everything for no reason.
Well, then maybe we'll actually get paid.
I'll take my part of the buyout. I will cash that Amazon check and be just happy.
You're such a dick, Mark.
You're welcome.
Okay, this relates a little bit to I'm not a big fan of the pacing here because unfortunately all the action winds up blending together. And I understand, again, like I'm with you, Mark. This doesn't need to be 2 hours. This doesn't need to be like a 2-hour epic, right? Or 2.5.
By the way, could you imagine the irony of us sitting here bitching that it was too short after we've spent the last year bitching that everything is too long?
When I say I feel this is a little bit too short, it's not that the runtime necessarily needed to be longer. You could throw another 10 minutes onto this and not lose anyone.
Right.
But it feels like the script for this was meant to be longer. And then throughout the process, it got cut down, but it didn't get cut down in a way that kept everything streamlined and cohesive. So it feels a little bit chopped together. And that's a minor problem I have with it. Here's my other kind of problem. And this is something I have with adaptations in general. And if you're going to adapt something, you have to bring something to the table that is unique to the medium, right? So, Mark, let me ask you something. It was phrased the way this was phrased when I heard it first was, so, Mark, you're in charge of a Lord of the Rings movie. What do you put in that's not in the books? What do you bring to the table?
Okay.
Because I know the answer that I heard, and I went, yeah, okay, I could go with that. And so, out of curiosity, like, okay, you're in charge of Return of the King. Let's make it simple. Return of the King.
Yeah.
What does Mark Radulich add to that if he's adapting that book?
I'd have to go back and reread the book. It's been so long, but make your point.
The answer given was the Witch King of Angmar goes to Lake Town and revives Sauron, and he flies into battle on the skeleton of a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Cool visual.
It's not in the books, but if you're going to adapt something, like the Witch King of Angmar flying into battle on the back of skeleton Smaug, it doesn't change anything.
Right.
Like the magic system is loose enough that him reviving a dragon is fine. As long as he doesn't kill anyone who's supposed to live or not kill someone who's supposed to die, who cares?
Right.
Okay. So in that vein, there's nothing that this movie brings to the table that I can't get in the games as a general rule.
Confused
And-
Matthew. I want to piggyback on that. I'm going to let you finish, obviously, but I want to illustrate your point with an old reviewer I used to watch. I think he's retired now. Confused Matthew used to look at some movies and say, "This is a video game I can't play," and that's a big criticism he has of some movies. It's like, no. Movies are supposed to be a story that brings you in, not be a video game that punishes you for watching it.
Yeah. So again, like to that end, there's a couple of things that could have been done here to just flesh everything out. Make like, okay, Bowser's obsessed with Peach because of course he is. Like, again, this is a note. Like Bowser has to try and kidnap Peach.
Let me say this. It would have been nice. It would have been nice if there were like other like girls in this universe.
That would have been something. Like
but there's something about Peach, except that it's like the pitch meeting thing. Like, why do these two like each other? Because they're the two male and female leads in the movie.
Because they're attractive people in proximity to each other.
Right.
But so, like, okay, Bowser likes Peach. Or
Sorry.
Hang on. This can be your note. Like, this has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
What you get to do in a movie, if you're adapting this, is why.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be long, but why does Bowser want to marry Peach?
Yeah. Was he like her pet turtle, and he loved her? Was there what happened that caused this, other than there's a vagina halfway across the world and it's the only one, so I like vaginas? Like, that literally is his motivation, apparently.
It sure feels that way, doesn't it? Like, again, you have a thing here that, and I don't need 40 minutes on this, but
right,
give me a motivation for the character. Like, why does he want this?
Right.
Same kind of thing with Peach. Again, her character is wildly underwritten. Again, just in the bad ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm fine with her not being the damsel in distress. Like, okay, we rescue Luigi. Okay, I'm down. But, like, why does she let Mario tag along?
It's his movie.
There's no reason.
Yeah.
Admittedly, though, I do love the reaction. She makes him go through that entire obstacle course multiple times. Then when Toad shows up and says, "I want to come with you," she goes, "Fine." And you get that look on Mario's face like, "Are you kidding me?" That was a good moment.
Again, so there's stuff with Peach that could have been done. Like, she needs to have some character flaws. 1 or 2 would have been nice. I could have done with a little bit more of her motivation's fine. Like, I was raised by these people, but her connection with Mario's a little bit undersold.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, you're the first human I've ever seen.
And then they drop in that bit about she may or may not have been from Earth, and then they do nothing with it. It's one of those things.
I think that was just to build up more that we're going to see it for sequel baiting. I mean, again, we're going to see Wario and Daisy and all of them. Do you think they came from Earth?
Let me say this to you, though, Alexis.
There's ways to do good sequel bait and bad sequel bait.
But no, it's all bad, because this is a problem with modern movie making, is that instead of just making your movie good, you're making essentially a trailer for the next movie. And
I didn't say it was a smart idea. I just said it was obvious why they wrote that.
No. And I'm not blaming this on you. This is a trend in Hollywood that I'm now going to scream about, because Robert and I have talked about this, that we don't focus on making the movie good. We worry about making the movie an episode of television. This is a bad movie trend, and it really does need to stop.
Yeah.
Instead of, because it used to be you made a movie, it made money. If you had talented enough people that had more of a story to tell, you made a sequel. But now, because again, the Marvel ruined the movie industry, good, bad, or indifferent. Now movies are not movies. Movies are long episodes of television, and it sucks. And
I say we call that going dark universe.
Fair enough.
You've seen the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, you know what I'm talking about.
No, I'm with you. I got you. So again, there's that. That felt a little bit off. Luigi gets done a little dirty.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm fine with him being the thing that I'm fine with him not being there, being Mario's motivation is I'm here to rescue my brother.
Maybe try escaping. Maybe do something.
Yeah, like he gets the one bit when he's, before he's captured, and then nothing.
Right.
And that was a good scene too. I loved his reaction when he takes out the dry bones.
Like that was the right kind of like very child-friendly scary scene.
Yeah.
Like that hit the right balance there. So no, that was a good scene. I'm with you. Like I needed something else with him because I'm relying on, Mario wants to save his brother rather than I want to see Luigi rescued. And there's a distinction there that is kind of lost here. It ultimately, my other gripe here is Mario's character arc is badly handled.
I don't agree with that, but I'm hearing out.
Okay, if his character arc is as you posit, he's told he's nothing, and he overcomes this at the end.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning of the movie, his family goes, "You made a stupid business decision. Now eat these mushrooms and this spaghetti."
Mamma mia.
And then it never comes up again until the very end when he's supposed to overcome it.
I don't want to spend the next 9 hours arguing with you, but that's not true. That's the whole point of the next bit with Peach is I'm going with you to say, my brother, you're not good enough is what she tells him in so few words. But if you can complete this obstacle course, at least then I suspect you won't get killed I won't get you killed in the process. And so, like, one of the obstacles he has to come to prove his mettle is this obstacle course. But that's the whole movie, Robert. The whole movie is him being told I'm not good enough and him proving that he is. And then in the final thing, he's beaten, he's bruised, his shoulder looked like it was like dislocated or some shit. He doesn't believe in himself. And then he has to find that inner courage and he goes out there and fights the monster.
Can I jump in actually? Because I kind of got a different idea out of the motivation personally.
Sure.
See, there's a bit where Mario and Luigi, they're getting not really chewed out, but they're kind of getting, it's the dinner scene, and they're talking about it's like you never know when to stop, Mario. It's like you had a perfectly good job with Spike. Why would you go for that? And then you have the scene after he fails the obstacle course for the umpteenth time, and Peach says she's still going to take him because she talks about how you don't stop, you never give up. For me, the arc that I saw with Mario was realizing the thing that he was being admonished for in the beginning was his strength, that he doesn't quit. And I also felt that resonated a lot for those of us who have played Mario games and have had countless nights where we're at a level that we can't beat, and it's a villain that we can't stop, and it drives us nuts, and we don't give up. And then our parents come and see that we've been playing all night, we got bloodshot eyes, and they're like, "Why the hell haven't you gone to bed?" It's like, you don't understand. I had to beat this guy.
Right, so you have
that's what I got out of it.
So you have my interpretation, you have Alexis's interpretation, which I think actually kind of complement each other. Your witness, sir.
It's more the execution of that final bit.
Okay.
The fact that if his thing is I don't give up, he shouldn't then we need the Captain America looking at Red Skull going, I can do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's not beaten down and he doesn't run away from the fight. He doesn't stop. And you have to structure that moment differently, I think, if that's what you're going for. Again, that's a fine thing to do.
Maybe have Bowser call him out on it. It was just like quit, you can't win. Something along those lines.
And he just gets up and like, no, I don't quit.
Right.
Like,
not today, Megatron.
It's Mario in time.
And again, like the structure of that bit is it reads like he's running away because he's scared, and then he finds his courage, except he's not the cowardly one. The rest of the movie is him. So it's muddled and it's not executed well, kind of depending on what you're looking at. And so that didn't quite work for me.
I would agree with muddled.
So there was that. On the whole, though, like I didn't have as good a time as you guys, but there's a billion Easter eggs, so that's a lot of fun. It's brightly colored. It's easily readable. It's what everyone kind of expects out of this. I would have preferred another 5 to 10 minute runtime, and we flesh out a little bit of the characters. Because again, I think that's still well within the parameters of let's not go overboard here. We know what we're doing. Like, we're making a movie for kids. You lose them past the 100-minute mark or so.
Right.
But this just felt like, again, it felt like there were places here where we could have expanded a little bit. And we could have gotten some character relationships expanded upon. Like, there's just stuff that could have been done better.
Yeah.
There was much room for improvement.
Indeed.
I wasn't going to give him the drum and cymbal again.
Zach, all of the coupons in your pun book, you've used them.
I have one really good one though. I've been saving it the whole time though.
All right, that's your last one, bud.
Okay, but that's one. It's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. Okay,
what do you need for a setup?
No, the movie is a setup. It's
Okay.
There was so much fan service in this movie. They should have not have gone into plumbing. They should have gone into air conditioning.
Can
You actually made Robert smile.
hang on, real quick.
No, that was me watching Mark's reaction more than the pun itself.
So, Loki.
All right.
I think that's my big gripe. Like, the action is fine, but it's all a little samey, and that's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
I actually could have done with the Rainbow Bridge scene being more epic. Like, I'm with you, Mark. Like, I wanted more Mad Max vibes out of that than we got.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Sorry, guys. I drives me nuts. Rainbow Bridge is what your pets cross over when they die.
Rainbow
You got to
Road,
call it
sorry.
Rainbow Road.
So
Rainbow Bridge is just depressing.
So Rainbow Road could have been better. Like, I
Yeah,
like that
I
scene.
wish
I
we had
wanted
done more on the Yellow Brick Road. You're right. I wish we had more Fury Road. I wish we had more differentiation in the violence while they were going down the Trail of Tears. I wish I'm gonna keep doing
running
this.
out. You've immediately run out of
power-ups. I mean, you realize when you on the new Mario Kart 8, I mean, what did we see? Banana peels, green turtle shells, and a blue shell.
I was gonna say we saw all that, and I know there's more stuff you can do. I think there's like a red turtle shell too.
Red turtle shell. The Mario Kart 8 has got so many powers. You can get a piranha plant that will bite your competitors.
But even like
past them.
The original Mario Kart, there was more going on than what they showed in the movie. Like I think like if you had to like narrow down one criticism of this movie, it was they may have been a little too restrained. Like there was like almost as if they've heard Robert and I complain about every movie ever for the last decade and went, hey, these two assholes on a podcast no one listens to have like really complained about being overindulgent and killing your babies. And why don't we listen to them and do nothing? We'll be the Seinfeld of animated films. It'll be nothing will happen in this movie.
I think there is actually an argument about how safe this movie plays it, but I think part of that was Nintendo and Illumination saying, "Look, we just want to make a Mario movie."
I don't know if you're aware of this, but Nintendo, in particular, the Mario creator, had like final say on this thing. Like, he had creative control.
God.
Oh, Shigeru Miyamoto, he oversaw every ounce of this.
I imagine there was a bunch of times when in Japanese he said, "That doesn't work for me, brother."
Hey, wrap up your criticism because we do need, before we get into the money, we do need to address the pre-production on this.
Sorry.
Again, like there's some voice casting or direction that needed to be sorted out, and I wouldn't have gone with Seth Rogen in general. It's I agree with all of the positive stuff you guys said. Like all the musical cues are great. They do a lot of good stuff with that. I wish the action wasn't samey, but you can follow it the whole time through, so that's a huge positive.
Yep. All right.
It's fun.
So I wanted to bring this up because a lot of for those that are listening to us, and we greatly appreciate your indulgence. Robert and I are big fans. I actually got asked today, what are some of your hobbies? Like some of my hobbies are watching entertainment videos on YouTube. We all, to one degree or another, I mean, I don't know how much you watch, Alexis or Zach, but I know Robert and I, some of the other guys that we podcast with, watch a lot of stuff like Critical Drinker, Midnight's Edge. Some of us, some more than others, watch Doomcock or whatever the fuck his name is.
My mom doesn't let me go on that website.
Admittedly, I watch a lot of Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Jones, Saber Spark. Yeah, so I do watch other reviewers, but I think we run in separate circles on the reviewers we watch.
Look, hang on. That's actually that benefits us on the aggregate because we get different perspectives because I can't watch. None of us can watch everything. So if Mark
Right.
watches Mark watches these 4, I watch a different 4, you watch a different 4,
and we come here and we have these different perspectives that we can
Yeah.
kind of hash through.
Mhm.
We have a lot of grist for the mill. So I bring that up for people watching because this podcast is not about did you like the movie, yes or no. There's only a million other podcasts you can watch for that level of discussion. This is film criticism and analysis on like a college level, despite the dick jokes
allegedly.
on occasion. But it's also an analysis of current film trends as they relate to the movie, and then we get into finance, and then we get into criticism. I bring that up because one of the things that we did in preparation for talking about this movie was look at what some of the entertainment YouTube videos talking about this movie were discussing. One of the things that came up, and it came up in a Midnight's Edge video, was that the original version of this movie placed that Illumination was running with in the absence of Nintendo's guidance was we're going to make the hero of this movie Princess Peach, and Mario is going to be Joey from Friends, essentially.
Yeah.
And whoever thought that was a good idea deserved to be smacked as hard as they did.
Oh wait, there was something I forgot to mention. I thought you guys would, and that's what's great about these reviews is that if I forget something, you'll probably bring something up. We forgot to talk about Jack Black as Bowser.
He and
great.
Keegan-Michael Key were the 2 best voice actors in the movie. No argument.
I don't know if there's anything more you wanted to add. Like, he was funny. He's Jack Black. I kept getting School of Rock vibes.
My only gripe with that is like Bowser sings only because Jack Black plays him. Like if
again, School of Rock.
There's certain actors that you get, you're going to get a musical number. I'm pretty sure Neil Patrick Harris has it written in his contract. No matter what he's hired for, he gets to sing.
Yeah. So getting back to the Midnight Edge thing. So then Nintendo like gets script approval, and they're looking at this going, it's the fucking Super Mario Brothers movies, you idiots, not the Super Peach movie. And how many more movies do you have where you shift the focus to the female ancillary character and away from the hero, and you make him Joey from Friends? How many movies like this do you need to see fail before you people get the message? And Nintendo was like, you write this bullshit. And that's how we got what we got. And the movie was better off for it, and it's being rewarded in spades. And we'll talk about that briefly with the money.
Let's really hope some people take the right lessons away from this.
I wanted to bring it up because this is one of those rare times in production you hear a story like that, because the trends are, the Force is female and all those other nonsense. And it's like, you ever just like look at what like the majority of fans want and just do that? And why that is, like, how did this movie end up being the exception and not the norm when it, as it relates to,
because someone with say so understood the property. Look, we put Super Mario Brothers on the title. It's their movie. You should write Mario as the hero. Who'd have thought?
Right. It is amazing to me that there has to be so many videos and discussions and like recognition of something that should be common sense but clearly isn't, or we wouldn't have the problems that we're having, like one bomb after another at a Disney studio. Alexis, did you want to weigh in on the when you're done with your talk, did you want to weigh in on that whole thing, or are you good to go? Or Zach?
Hi.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna guess with the deafening silence, we should just get on with the money. So
no, sorry. Actually, that was just I didn't mean to be silent there. I was just having a little trouble with my microphone. Sorry.
Okay. So, did you want to say anything about because to me that it was an important thing to talk about, and I really wanted to pay some attention to it, but I didn't know if you had any opinions on the matter or thoughts.
At the moment, not really. Sorry.
Just let me go then, and I was trying to move on. God damn you! All right. All right. And with that said, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
All right, with a budget of $100 million, this thing has already surpassed Ant-Man. It was
almost
$420.8 million in the year of our Lord 2023.
That's worldwide.
All right, so let's talk about box office here. I'm just going to read this. As of April 10th, 2023, the Super Peach movie had grossed $224.7 million in the U.S. and Canada and $196.1 million in other territories like China for a worldwide total of $420.8 million. In the U.S.,
Hey, for the record, man, the full worldwide release is only going to help this thing.
mm-hmm. In the U.S. and Canada, the Super Mario Brothers movie was released alongside Air, which I saw and I'll talk about momentarily, and was initially projected to gross around.
Mark, you and I
What?
discussed this briefly. You're
What?
smarter than the head of product creation at Amazon because you wouldn't have paid $120 million for Air.
Oh my God! Just fucking
60,
between them
right.
and Netflix, man.
It was like
Yeah, be careful with Amazon. It's a jungle out there.
somewhere between 150 and 160 million was paid.
I fucking warned you already. All right.
I know. I'm done. I'm done.
Don't make me Braxame you. Ask Alexis how that went the last time I did it with her. Okay, behave, Sonny. All right. So and it was initially projected to gross 125 million from over 4,000 theaters in its 5-day opening weekend. By the way, how smart is Universal for opening up?
Hey, open on Wednesday
instead of 3 or 4 days. Yeah, that's fucking brilliant.
I was going to say, do we have they given a reason why they did that?
Yeah.
So they really wanted to change all the posters.
Spring break.
Stop. It was Easter weekend for one thing, and not a lot of families, especially God-fearing Christian ones, were going to the fucking movies on a Sunday. So with no other competition, it being a holiday weekend, I think it was like Passover was somewhere in the middle of all this. They were like, you know what, opening it up a couple of days early. You know, some schools are in spring break right now. You're probably
everything was where I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have mentioned this. I went to see this at like 11:30 in the morning on a Wednesday.
Right.
Almost a packed house.
Yeah. We had a good sized crowd on a Monday at 5 in the evening.
Yeah, I saw this thing on Thursday because my sister refuses to see movies filled with theaters filled with children because they talk a lot. So we saw it really late.
Don't blame her. I was in there with Sonic. It was like it was like being in a crowd full of women at like the Rolling Stones. Like, oh, Sonic! And, like kids are throwing their tops and underwear. It's ridiculous.
I went Wednesday opening night, packed house.
Yeah. It was also expected to gross around 100 million internationally after making 31.7 million on its first day and 26.5 million on its second. 5-day estimates were raised to 141 million. This had to be the first movie in a long time where they had to adjust projections upwards instead of downward.
Yeah, you are not wrong. I'm pretty sure it is.
Projections were readjusted yet again to 191 million after the film made 55 million on Friday. The film went on to debut 146.4 million during the traditional 3-day weekend and 204.6 million over the 5-day frame, surpassing the 72.1 million opening of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 to become the top opening weekend for a video game adaptation, as well as surpassing 190.8 million lifetime gross to be the top grossing video game adaptation ever. It was also the third highest Easter opening weekend of all time behind Furious 7, which was a monster financially. And
also Universal.
And Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, which was a monster cinematically. The film not only surpassed Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which was a monster spiritually, for the biggest 5-day.
Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is a monster ethically.
There you
morally.
Go. For the biggest 5-day Wednesday opening of any film, but also surpassed Minions for Illumination's largest opening weekend ever. Additionally, the film surpassed Ant-Man and the Betas for 2023's biggest opening weekend. Overall, the Super Mario Brothers movie generated the third highest opening weekend for any animated film ever after The Lion King and Incredibles 2. Take that, motherfucking Disney!
Screw you, mouse!
Right up the mouse's ass where it belongs. It also overperformed in other territories, making 173 million for a global opening weekend of 377.2 million, surpassing Frozen's 2 record. Furthermore, and lastly, it surpassed Warcraft to have the highest worldwide opening weekend for any video game adaptation ever. All right, in the year of our Lord, 2023, in the weekend of April 7th through 9th, we're just looking at the weekend, the traditional 3-day weekend. You'll never guess what was the number one movie of the weekend, Robert.
Already said it. It's okay.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons, right?
We gotta talk about that one very briefly.
And we'll get to it. John Wick, in its second week, dropped to number 2. Air debuted.
No. John Wick held at number 2.
It held at number 2. So a real quick thing about Air, which debuted at number 3. Saw it with my wife for date night. Hey, I went on a date with my wife. Go fig. And
you non-traditionalist. You.
I know, right? Anyway, Air was really good. We both thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't really know the Nike story. I don't know the Air Jordan story. So this could have been complete bullshit for all I knew. But it was
pretty accurate.
It was a nicely told story. I think Matt Damon did an excellent job as the character that he played. Ben Affleck.
Oh, why are you setting me up for it?
Matt Damon's in the movie.
We got new people here who may not understand. This is about Matt Damon, not the handicapped.
Ben Affleck did a great job as the CEO of Nike. Viola Davis as Michael Jordan's mother was, again, this is another Oscar nominated worthy role. It was a really solid picture, and by the end of it, I got the feels. As far as true to life stories and all of that.
That plucky underdog,
Michael Jordan, yeah.
Space Jam.
Here's the thing. I think if you're just like a moviegoer, a fan of the Bulls, a fan of Michael Jordan, I'm not entirely sure how much this movie is going to resonate with people. If you're me, if you're people who study the entertainment industry, marketing trends, the shift in company-owned IP versus the players, the actors, or whatever, getting a piece of things, owning your brand. If you're a student of branding and a student of the history of branding,
do you understand that Motley Crue is the smartest band ever because they own their own music?
This movie's fucking amazing. Like, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, when they started talking about, and Michael Jordan changed the fucking game forever for everybody, and like they took it when he asked for a piece of every shoe that has his name on it, how that changed the industry forevermore.
Oh, it did.
It's like that is a monumental piece of business history. And for some people, they hear the words business history and they immediately fall into a coma. But if you like that sort of thing, like we do, this is an amazing movie. It was really, really well done. I'm not entirely sure it was worth $160 fucking million. You psychos at Amazon.
Yeah. So just for the record, Jennifer Sulke, who was the subject of a lot of well-earned scorn in a recent. There's a thing from the Hollywood Reporter that came out recently that also deals with the failure of the Rings of Power, which retained, because look, you can only hide and lie about this stuff for so long before the metrics bear out. Only like 5 or 36% of people who started,
like 1/3 basically.
Yeah. A third of the people who started Rings of Power finished Rings of Power.
Yeah, speaking of not making a product for the
terrible retention rate. And again, there were a lot of people there who just talked about the kind of culture at Amazon Creative, and it's a mess. And yeah, like Amazon bought Air. They're the ones who are partially distributing it.
Mm-hmm.
And they spent like 150, I think, some odd $1 million on it. And this is not that movie.
Real quick, fucking Air.
It already had like a $90 million budget.
Yeah, it had a $90 million budget in the year of our Lord 2023 on April 11th. It's made $31.9 million. This might get nominated for prizes, but this was not a financial success. You people are lunatics.
Yeah.
Just imagine like you're doing your household budget. Maybe some people do this. God knows I've spent myself into a hole. But your budget is X, and you're like, okay, but I'm gonna go out and buy a Maserati. Well, you can't afford a Maserati. Yeah, but it'll get me hot chicks and blowjobs and whatnot.
No.
But you can't afford this.
The problem is Amazon can. They have money to burn.
Right? Yeah, but it's not gonna. Yeah, they can just piss money away. I suppose that's not the right metaphor, but I just it's one of those where we talked about this with Netflix earlier in the year, where
Netflix is coming back down to earth. Amazon is part of
that. Was my point. Was Netflix also had a money tree for a while. And they were pulling every branch, pulling full on whole branches off the money tree and just throwing it at prostitutes and cocaine. And they're it's suddenly somebody's, as one does, and chicken wings if you're Steel Panther. And they turn around and they were just have we made any of this money back? And the accountants who are all in a dark hole and chains and shit I'm just like, no, we haven't seen money since Lincoln was in the White House. How much money are we bleeding? If we were a patient,
all of it.
If we were a patient, we'd be dead. Like our skin would be translucent.
You don't understand. Like, you haven't just opened up every artery we have. Like, all the blood infusions that are coming in are also just going out. Like, you've actually lost more blood than you started with.
Yeah, and so I don't know when Amazon's gonna finally like wake up from like the alcohol-induced fucking mania, but please, not like it hurts me to hear.
Let's just ruin Wheel of Time. Halo will be a disaster.
Oh my god, Halo is so bad. Halo, the reason why Alexis now does TV reviews for me. Anyway,
he's not lying.
Yeah, that is a true fucking story. I can blame a lot of it
on record. I refuse to review Halo.
That's okay. So does everyone else. I can blame a lot of my lack of doing podcasts on polyamory, but it was Halo that truly broke me. Anywho. Dungeons and Dragons fell from 1 to 4.
Yeah,
Hurry,
let's talk.
Hit it, Darren.
Let's talk for just a second about your 62% drop.
Oh, Jesus
that
Christ. Like, this movie is great. This movie's making tons of money. Is everyone done seeing it now? Yeah, we're fucking done with this.
I mean, it seems to be doing okay internationally. Like, that's helping it hold on. So it's probably not going to be a loss at the end of the day, but, man... You wound up booking your general audience movie largely aimed at families the week before Super Mario Brothers. That was a 5-head play there, buddy. That was not it.
Was this literally the only weekend they could get it in?
I mean, here's the problem with that.
Who knows?
Robert and I have been in the course of doing this show. One of the things that we study very, very acutely is release schedules. At some point, you have to release your fucking movie. If everyone goes, well, we can't release it now, we'll have no breathing room. Everyone releases all of their movies in fucking September. Like that's ends up being what happens. So since no one's going to do that, you have to just kind of stick to your guns and be like, all right, we've decided this is our weekend, and we'll go from there.
To that same point, though, this could have, unless they were still doing some technical stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
If this comes out in like February, it's fine. Like it still gets the same audience.
But that's the point that I just made. You can't. Everyone can't aim for the low months. Then there is no low months. Every month becomes a high month.
I'm aware. I'm just saying, if you're in charge of Dungeons and Dragons, like that might be one that you try to go for. You aim for a slower month and try to find some breathing room because as it stands,
but they thought it was over. They thought it was going to be a big hit, and you got to understand the other mentality in theater release theory is release your movie at the high points of theater going. Here's the problem. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Theater going isn't what it once was.
No,
the crowds aren't there like they used to be over the course of the length of movie in theaters. Because I don't want to beat a dead horse. Please don't play the sound.
I put the sound clips away. Okay, I'm done.
Good. Everyone goes to see the movie opening weekend, and then unless you're Super Mario Brothers and the next 3 movies are fucking horror movies or a boxing movie, no one's going to see your movie the second week. No one. They're waiting for it. At this point, everyone who went to go see the movie saw it already, and now everyone else that wants to see it will see it on Paramount Plus. This is the problem with current movie making. So your weekend doesn't matter as such. It kind of matters if you're Mario Brothers or if you're Pixar or Disney or something, because your competition is a lot less than almost any other movie out there because you're family entertainment. But for most other movies, you just pick a date and fucking hope for the best. You lay back and think of England. By the way, Dungeons and Dragons, $125 million so far on a $150 budget.
Ooh,
yeah. Remember when I was really bullish on it? Anywho,
before the actual family-friendly entertainment came out that all the kids do want to see.
Yeah. All right. Scream fell from 4 to 5. His Only Son 3 to 6. Creed 3 fell from 5 to 7. Shazam, which I think is now on PVOD.
It's now in the ground.
Yeah, that Shazam, Aquaman, Flash, all going in the same fucking grave, and we'll never speak
Blue
of this
Beetle,
again.
just bury it. Bury it in the backyard.
So I didn't watch the trailer when you guys were all belly aching about it.
I think Blue Beetle looks good. Okay.
Well,
I didn't say anything about it.
Hang on. Yeah, when every one of you was bitching, complaining that Latinos are terrible and they should all be shipped back to Mexico, I was not. I did not see.
Dude, we're all just gonna let your terrible things stand.
Right. I saw the trailer finally. It preceded Mario Brothers, and at first I was like, "Oh, it's the kid from Cobra Kai." I instantly liked the movie after that. But it actually does not look that bad. One of my friends sent me the trailer.
Right, it's teenage Iron Man who's not a genius.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was not at all excited about Blue Beetle in any way, shape, or form. Saw the trailer and I'm just like, I won't mind taking my kids to this and making fun of it with Robert and then moving on with my life.
That's about right.
Yeah. Moving on. 1001, 7 to 9. I saw Paint also this past weekend.
That's the Owen Wilson movie, right?
Yeah, where he's not Bob Ross. It was interesting.
No, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. It was, I mean, is it
so
worth
hang on, so instead of happy little trees, is it wow, there's a tree.
Wow.
And then Jim Carrey ran in and knocked his easel over.
Okay,
but
is Jim Carrey, you have to, like, you can't
I'm thinking of Jeff Bridges. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I saw Paint. That was good. If you like to support indie movies when they're in the theaters, go see it. Otherwise, it's fine to wait and watch it at home. But it's definitely worth a watch. Might actually even be nominated for something. It was pretty good. The Journey, a musical special from
Ant-Man
Andrea
and the
Bocelli.
Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp dropping from number 9 to number 16 over this week.
Oh my god!
All right.
Look at that.
Yeah. All right.
Made
So
$290,000 this week. You can't even that's not even your mortgage payment in California.
La Usurpadora, the musical, debuted in 20. How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I need to talk about this really quick. So I ended up seeing Paint.
You want to talk about blowing up pipelines?
I do. So I was supposed to go on a boys' night out with my housemate Chris, and we were going to go see How to Blow Up a Pipeline. And everything I saw said it was listed for the 7th, and I'm checking theaters, and there's nothing there. And I check it again, and it's updated, and it's for the 14th. I don't know what happened with the rollout on this, because it's even listing it as debuting 7th on April 7th. In 12 theaters. Okay, so yeah, this was in limited release. Is what happened here, but
yeah,
but it's in wide release this weekend. I actually do have plans to go see it, and I'll report back next week when we talk about Renfield. I'm looking forward to it, man. It looks fucking tense. I mean, I don't know how good it's gonna be, but I'm excited for it. When I saw the trailer, I was into it. That debuted at number 21 in its limited release. Showing Up 24, Right On 25, Joyland 31, My Architect, which is a re-release 42. And that is the weekend that was worldwide.
How we doing worldwide, Mark?
This is not updated.
I was gonna say it's like, wait a minute,
something is missing. So Ant-Man,
unless Super Mario Brothers released early in France.
Now I gotta check. Hang on. Oh, if the France fucked this again. Let's see. Yup. No shit. Look between 11 and 13.
Yeah, there it is, number 12. When did it come out somewhere else last year?
Hang on. I'm pulling up the wiki.
Somebody find that out, or this is just Box Office Mojo trolling us.
Hang on, I'm looking it up.
Hey, these two fucking assholes on a podcast nobody watches that keep making fun of our Megan deal. Let's fuck with them. Anyway, it's really funny. Nobody knows that it came out in fucking Singali.
Hang on, release.
All right, let me move on with this. Just interrupt me when you find answers.
Actually, it says here it hasn't even been it's not even released in Japan yet. So,
hang on, how do we figure this out with Megan? Did you click on it and then we went through where it was released?
Yeah, hang on.
I'll go to the IMDb page. I was looking at the wiki.
I kind of need to know this now.
Okay, I'm looking.
I'm looking. Derail the entire fucking podcast. Okay. Yeah, this is what we did with Megan. Okay. This is the page that I looked at.
Yeah.
So it's April 5th. It was April 5th in America.
America.
April 5th, 6th, and 7th. Everywhere else.
That's 2023. We got to look for 2022 somewhere in here.
Yeah, we're gonna find you.
Yeah, it has been released.
It hasn't been released in. It's nowhere it was released. In 2022.
Somebody's just trolling.
Yeah, somebody over at IMDb is about to lose their damn job.
Somebody at IMDb has screwed this up.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay.
Quality. You know what, IMDb? You could cut us a small check for the quality control we're doing for you.
It's pretty clear that somebody entered in the code and put in 2022 instead of 2023 in the.
Right. Whoever's doing the fucking coding, quit doing cocaine and chicken wings and hanging out with Steel Panther. Do your fucking jobs. All right. Stop depending on the good boys at Damn You Hollywood to pick up your goddamn slack.
For the record,
Mark, do me a favor. Use this on TikTok and hashtag IMDb. I actually want to see if we get a response.
Throw this at Box Office Mojo. I mean it.
You got it, my loves. All right.
Okay,
moving on.
For the record, at 420 some odd million, it would be number 2 at the moment behind Ant-Man and the Wasp, which it will surpass next week handily.
Easily.
All right, John Wick.
As good as Renfield looks, there's no way that Super Mario isn't going to be number 1 again next week.
No, we've already said it's going to be the number 1 movie of every week up until Guardians of the Galaxy, which is in 3 weeks.
It might hit the $1 billion mark. It might.
Illumination. It might.
All right, so John Wick is at 270 at number 2, Creed 267, Scream 162, Python 128, Shazam 128, D&D 125, Chevy 90, our Earthline Overlord Cocaine Bear at 83.
Yeah.
And at number 10, at a tight number 10, Titanic with the 25th anniversary.
Actually, number 11.
Cameron.
Sure.
Technically, number 11.
All right, here are all the movies not doing better than a 25-year-old movie. Tragic Mike's Last Dance, and I did the thing. Demon Slayer 2, Electric Boogaloo. 65, poor Adam Driver. You're not an action hero. Just stop already.
Said it before and we'll say it again. If you can't make dinosaurs interesting, you have failed as a filmmaker.
Go back to screaming at Scarlett Johansson on Netflix. 6, Knock the Cabins. 14, Plane. Oh, poor Plane. 15, Jesus Revolution. 16, Mummy. 17, Missing. 18, Asterix and Obelix, The Middle Kingdom. 19, and 80 for Brady. A movie for women who don't see movies. At number 20. All right. I'm gonna kill the money segment right then and there because we have a lot to talk about with the critical review.
So we get to yell at Box Office Mojo or what have you for doing.
I've got some sad news.
Oh,
I'm out of tea, and you'll never guess what flavor it was.
Peach.
Yes.
You always add a lot to the podcast there, brother. All right, here we go with the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Proving once again that Hollywood is out of touch with the average movie-going American.
The access media complex.
Oh,
Y'all missed the boat on this one big time.
I'll tell you, and I don't think it's hyperbole in saying, for the people who held water for Saddam Hussein to have access to Iraq, this is almost as bad.
The people complaining about this movie are the same kind who look at that and go, Stalin's bread lines weren't the worst thing in the world.
We all have to stand in line for bread at some point.
You got bread at the end of it, and every week there were fewer and fewer people in line. It was a good thing.
Hey, I just said that all the negative critics are the people who just never got a chance to play a Nintendo when they were growing up, so they don't understand it.
All right, so the critical the critical is a splat at 57% with 219 reviews, and a near perfect 96% with 10,000 neckbeards chiming in. And the critical consensus reads, while it's nowhere near as thrilling as turtle tipping your way to 128 lives, the Super Mario Brothers movie is a colorful, albeit thinly plotted animated adventure that has about as many Nintendos as Zach Strobel's. I'm sorry, as your Ken Don'ts. You brought this on yourself.
Okay,
Al.
for the record, I feel bad for the AI that had to generate that out of these terrible reviews.
Out of the chat fucking GPT.
You know,
It was
that somebody
me.
just
I'm
threw
sorry.
in-
I made that pun.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
someone threw in the Sega commercial because they really wanted that catchphrase.
Before we get to the rest of the reviewers who don't know how to do their jobs, let's talk about the elephant in the room named Grace Randolph.
I like to
Oh,
call her
beyond
Jeff
the trailer.
Goldblum in reverse.
Wait, why?
Okay, you know how Jeff Goldblum, when he talks, he has a tendency to enunciate certain words, certain
Sure.
letters in what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Randolph does the exact same thing, just in a higher pitch.
First of all, she sounds like she has marbles in her mouth. Two, it sounds like she's drunk. Like, I listened to some of what she said just because it was played in the and people asking, like, why aren't you playing it? Because we're live on YouTube, and YouTube is weird about what you play on here. Ask me how I know that. See our previous Metal Hammer of Dooms where I've gotten copyright violated or community violated or violated the community, whichever you like. In any case, I'm not playing videos during my podcast anymore. I'm tired of getting kicked off of YouTube. But the point being, I've listened to a little bit of the Grace Randolph YouTube video that got questioned. And so for people who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I came to know the Grace Randolph review, which is everywhere. I actually have an article up from Forbes, which quoted her, which is fucking great. But the conservative side of the entertainment YouTube media complex picked up on the Grace Randolph video and ran wild with it. Her major complaints were she didn't understand the movie. The movie didn't make any sense. Like the going from the real world to the magical world confused her in some strange way.
She admitted she never played the game. She had to look up about Bowser trying to kidnap Princess Peach because she didn't know if that was actually a thing.
Yeah. She used the word inaccessible as if you've never played the game, you're not going to understand what's happening here, as if this wasn't like an easy to understand movie.
Look, man, there's a lot of references you won't get if you've never played, but the structure and plot
But it's like saying you won't understand the Wizard of Oz because you've never been to fucking Oz. Or you've never read the Frank Baum books.
That's like saying you won't understand the most recent Marvel movie if you haven't watched the previous ones. Yeah, you're probably going to lose a couple of okay, actually bad reference. Talking about
what are you talking about?
No, Endgame. Remember when we reviewed Endgame, we said one of the great things was that there are a handful of references you're probably not going to get, but on the whole, you would still enjoy this movie.
Yeah,
Same
for the most part, the pre-Phase 4 stuff was able to stand up on its own. There were a lot of movies like that we talked about where independently of their series, they could stand up on their own and you didn't really lose the audience. You just didn't get as rich experience if you weren't a lifelong fan. There's nothing inaccessible about this movie. So this felt like she went into it wanting to hate it and just found things to hate. And I'm just going to read directly from the Forbes article here. Okay, so Grace Randolph discussing the film on her YouTube channel Beyond the Trailer describes the film as totally inaccessible for non-fans of the Super Mario game from Nintendo. Fans might even have a hard time with the non-existent, antiquated, and somewhat offensive story. Shocking misfire for Illumination, the only bad movie they've ever made. Ma'am!
Go back to the Lorax and the Grinch.
And Hop.
Slow the fuck down. She adds that the word of mouth is going to be toxic. 96%, you asshole. Like wow. Wait.
Dude, I believe part of her review was it's the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's the one that made you fucking shit the bed. The one that cracked me up, and it's so funny.
Like, I know she's seen worse movies than this.
So I took my kids to go see it. The Kelsey went to go see it. The only person in the house that hadn't seen it yet, as a child, was her daughter. She just hadn't had the opportunity yet. But we're talking about the movie, and we're talking about the Bowser Peach thing, and we've already criticized that. But we said that it just needed to be more developed. Grace Randolph's take, and this cracks me up, and it needs discussion, was Bowser stalking and wanting to marry Peach against her will is a problematic issue in our culture of woke, gives the wrong message to children, and people shouldn't go see this movie for that reason.
Okay.
At which point,
folks,
everyone with two functioning brain cells that rub against each other said he's the villain.
Yeah, it's like, okay, folks, here's the thing. Stalking someone is bad. That's why the villain does it? Because we're
Let-
not supposed to emulate the villain.
Hang on, no, there's an important caveat here. There's an important caveat, Mark.
Mhm.
If you're a hot billionaire, it's okay.
Yeah. And you just grab him in the hoo-ha, got you all in check. Now listen, a couple of things. One, even the kid who hadn't seen the movie was just like, he's the villain. What was he supposed to do? Hand her a cake and yell friendship? That's not how this fucking works.
No, that's what Peach does at the end of several of the games.
But the other thing that got mentioned, because I asked Jonas about this, I was like, is that canon? Is Bowser wanting to marry Peach a thing in the game? And he was like, yes, in several of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
I mean, especially like Super Mario Galaxy, that's the big thing, is Mario trying to stop the wedding.
Right.
Actually, Odyssey, there's
Odyssey,
she's
not
actually,
Galaxy, sorry.
Yeah,
So-
admittedly, in the first couple of games, it's just I kidnapped Princess Peach, and you assume it's because he wants control over the Mushroom Kingdom, but whatever. If he's got, I think in the video or in the animated series, yeah, he wants.
He's acting
to
like
marry
Bowser
her.
was like, and I initiate my right of prima nocta. Like, no, he didn't do that. Like, which would have been awesome if he did. I'd have been really into it then. But
Mark,
I would think after like 8 games, you think she can go save herself at this point.
Mark,
There's also a lot of clips in, I think it's Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, and whatever. When Bowser wins, he tries to get a kiss out of Peach, just like, "Hey, how about a kiss on the cheek for the winner?" or something like
should
that.
fucking hits him, I would imagine. What are you gonna say, Robert?
if you're interested in the speculative art forms that spring up around
Oh, not this
Bowser and
again.
Peach,
No, I'm not gonna do it on air.
the internet exists,
People Google that right now.
Anything else about this asshole Grace
just
Randolph?
not on air.
Let's just
Oh,
pray to
okay.
God the woman's never seen the fan art of Bowsette.
Ugh.
Bowser's a thing.
It is a thing.
Alrighty.
It's not just a thing. It's a cosplay. It is a very, very popular cosplay.
Look, my headcanon about Bowsette is currently propagated. That's actually like Bowser's daughter. That's my headcanon for it, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Wenlei Ma of news.com.au, top critic. The whole package is a deranged mishmash of overstimulating elements.
Okay, somebody didn't take her meds before going to the movie theater. Good to
Almost
know.
like something designed to appeal to children.
Kenneth R. Moorfield of One More Film blog. This asshole. One More Film. What's one? The number one. More. He's on Rotten Tomatoes, and we toil in obscurity.
Yep.
I wasn't expecting Pixar. What,
That's
for
not-
it to
that's-
bomb?
Dude, that doesn't carry the cachet it used to,
Used
man.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't
And,
expecting.
and it's technically, if you want to talk about Pixar level of animation, this movie more than knocks it out of the park with how gorgeous it is.
Generally.
I wasn't expecting Pixar, but the heroes end where they started, not having been transformed by their experiences or learning anything for them. You didn't watch the movie then. You wrote this before you wrote this and didn't watch the movie.
I mean, for the record, like, even though I did I wasn't in love with how they characterized Mario's arc, and I thought it was very muddled and
Mm-hmm.
like, no, he does clearly get somewhere a little bit different. Friggin' Luigi definitely winds up somewhere
Yeah.
very different. You're just
Mhm.
ignoring him entirely if this is your criticism. Peach doesn't change at all. She's the most perfect.
Jeff Mitchell art house film Wire needs to be thrown down a flight of stairs and stuffed in a locker. The Super Mario Brothers movies is super nostalgic, but not super fun. Granted, I haven't regularly played a home video game since NBA Jam circa 1995. I don't know what art house film Wire is, but it's not your personal blog shit for brains.
I'm pretty
Yes.
sure this is the schmuck who probably played whenever he played NBA Jam. Always said, "I'm Chicago. I'm Chicago. I'm you. You have to play as the Phoenix Suns. I'm Chicago."
They didn't even let you play as Jordan in that. I know the game he's talking about, actually.
I do
and
too.
You're the guy who's like, no, wait, I can't possibly allow you to use cheat codes.
I'm gonna let Kevin Carr go this time.
We're just gonna give him a little pat on the head and say, just keep going.
Yeah, you can be our friend this week, there, Kevin Carr. Of
You
Fact Guy
haven't
at the
royally
Movies.
pissed us off. We got bigger fish to fry.
I know that week. This week we all shabetted Grace Randolph. People are like, "What's a shabetta?" Don't worry about it.
I was gonna say, like, dude,
just go look it up.
turn that into a verb, eh?
Yeah, we have Dana Han Klein of We're Watching What podcast. Anyway,
The old
It's a good thing I like
W.
it's a good thing I like talking to my friends once a week about movies. Nostalgia might be the only thing that warps you through this one dimensional adaptation. Though peppered with candy-coated visuals and chock full of Easter eggs for hardcore Nintendo fans, story or lack thereof leaves one wanting a power-up.
You ever just want to grab some of these critics, shake them violently, and say, "It's a Mario Brothers movie. What were you expecting?"
Look, as the guy here who looked at this thing afterwards and said, "Yeah, the writing's not great." Even my criticism were like, "Okay, we can do like 5 minutes of stuff here to fix most of these problems," which makes me think there's a lot of lazy writing going on. And I'll stand by that criticism, but your issue is like, no, it's not written and it's one-dimensional. Like, it's not actually one-dimensional in the way you're implying. And going too far down the other direction gets you to Lightyear, which I'm sure you gave a glowing review to, but nobody saw.
Jeffrey Harris of 401mania.com, friend of the show.
Hey, Jeff.
The Super Mario Brothers movie is a joyous event that will bring excitement to all longtime Nintendo fans and players, giving them a new generational story that they can share with their children and families. This movie is playing with power. All right,
wow, Jeff, you really couldn't resist whipping that one out, could you?
I'm
No,
going
he
to
couldn't.
Judge
Hey, if
Rad-
the movie can't, why should the critics?
Judge Radulich will allow it for Jeff.
Look, Jeff gave that like a 9 out of 10. I thought he was. I think he's way too generous. Like, but you know, again, I gave this movie a positive review. All said and done, it's not without criticism. But
I was going to say, we all have a few things that we think should be fixed, but I don't think anyone's walking away saying this was a bad movie.
All right, Sarah Michelle Fetters of MovieFreak.com, top critic. They get paid for this. Professional critic here. Kids may have the time of their lives watching the Super Mario Brothers movie, but for most adults, this is game over, man. Game over.
I get the feeling that she was in a theater with a bunch of little kids who wouldn't shut up, and instead of actually enjoying the movie, all she's complaining about is, "Oh, I was surrounded by too many annoying kids."
I sympathize with that. I really do. But you're a professional critic. Separate the theater experience from the actual movie, you hack.
Nick Johnston of Vanyaland likes the smell of his own farts. He also buys twice as expensive coffee. An 80-minute speed run through Mario World with little in the way of the fact that actually makes the video game themselves special. Crammed full of generic fan service that would be lost on at least half the viewers.
Again, we have now found the supreme potentate of fun.
And we have also found somebody who never owned a Nintendo.
All right, we'll do a couple more of these and we'll call it a night. Doug Walker of Channel Awesome. We hate you, Doug. We hate you, Doug Walker. We hates you. Bright, bouncy, colorful words. The thesaurus, has a few laughs and is faithful to the source material. Those unfamiliar with the games will be confused. Okay,
no.
Is everyone that goes to the movies fucking like half retarded? I don't understand where this is coming from. It's not that hard of a movie to understand. Or am I
was
just
going to say, just because you don't get why Scott Menville shouted "Blue Shell" before he attacked doesn't mean you're not going to like the movie.
Again, if you have two functioning brain cells, I don't understand like the divide in this criticism. The movie is either too simple or too complicated. How? How did you come to both conclusions? Those are not the same thing.
Look, these are people who just really didn't want to like it. And they're badly trying to express some of the legitimate criticisms that could be had of this. Again, we all had things that like, hey, this could have been better. This was a little bit weak. I mean, my big thing coming out of this was I got in the group chat and I said, because the critics have been kind of savaging it early, like its rating went up over time on the critical side. But I said, like, yeah, they're not whistling Dixie. Like, there's stuff to criticize here. And then then having now seen some of their criticism, I went, once again, I'm left befuddled that this class of individual, this entire profession, is riddled with people who ignore the points of legitimate criticism in favor of where I didn't like it.
I just want to know how many of these negative critics actually gave positive ones to Avatar: The Way of Water.
Rich Joswiak of the Muse Jezebel wrote this review while smoking a hookah on top of the Great Wall of China. Tedious in its tedious. That's a reference to fucking Quentin Tarantino. Tedious in its articulation of the obvious, the Super Mario Brothers movie seems both precious about and unsure of its property coherence.
What?
Property's coherence. Yeah.
No,
so
seriously, what?
You see, you guys wonder why I make some of the jokes that I do, and then you see it. You see what I see.
We see these people. Mark, you and I have been in the trenches against these people for a long time, and
yeah,
that's a guy. I see who you have up on screen here, so I'm going to draw out my response to that previous just to delay your fun. I just want you to know that.
Oh, you bastard!
This is going to take just a hair longer than usual to discuss a very pretentious critic whose overindulgence in his own self-importance resulted in that unhelpful review.
Just how many of these reviewers went into this wanting to hate this movie?
The more important question is how many of these reviewers were once married to Robert Winfree in a future universe? And the answer is
the answer is none.
But the future ex Robert Winfree, Tanya Lamb of Lola Lamb Chops, the first, the best.
You muddled your way through that one.
The first bestest ex.
So
Mrs.
would
Winfree.
you consider your first ex-wife to be the bestest of your wives?
This isn't about my story, sir. I'm telling your story. My story is a horror movie. But yours is one of romance and adventure.
Dude, your personal story only becomes a horror story in the last act.
But it ain't over yet.
I'm just saying, like the horror story that is the Mark Radulich movie eventually on HBO Max. 2/3 of the way, not a horror movie. Final third recontextualizes everything.
The final third is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Anyway, future ex Mrs. Winfree, Tanya Lamb of Lola Lamb Chops. I'll add this to my Saturday morning cartoon playlist that I watch with my husband Robert, but I won't be petitioning for a sequel. You're not in charge, you asshole. The Super Mario Brothers movie is still a fun, kid-friendly film for families to watch together. Thanks, Tanya. You're very helpful.
And we all know this is getting a sequel.
No shit. Because
it's getting a sequel. It's getting a spin-off. I'm sorry, we joke, but this thing is launching a cinematic universe. This is opening up a floodgate of video game adaptations.
I'm not kidding, man. I will be down for this, followed by Mario Brothers 2 with a Zelda movie, a Star Fox movie, and a Metroid movie.
The only thing it never got is a video game tie-in. It's ironic.
He's actually not wrong.
I am down for the Super Smash Brothers universe. Don't run it into the ground, but let's get to Super Smash Brothers, and we'll all have a good time.
All right. That is our review of the Super Mario Brothers movie. I want to thank everyone that Zach brought with them to watch us tonight. It was greatly appreciated. It's a slight week for me in podcasting. Jesse had some family stuff that he had to do, so we didn't do our Treme season 2 review. We're not going to do. We pushed all the David Simon stuff back 1 month to accommodate him. So this is the only thing I'm recording this week. But I've got pages and canned hams for you. So Monday, we put up a page for Deadpool, Dracula's Gauntlet, which we recorded a couple years ago. Plus, Jesse put up a Snap material. So Jesse's been playing Marvel Snap with Evan Bevins, who walks with Jesus and is perfect. And they've been talking about Marvel Snap on his podcast. So go check that out. When I have extra days and not enough new stuff, I put up some old stuff. So this was the Bad Motherfucker Championship of the World. UFC 244, Masvidal versus Diaz, alternative commentaries. Me and Robert just talking 3 hours about bad motherfuckers. That went up today.
In honor of Jorge Masvidal retiring on Saturday.
Yes, I did that totally on purpose. On Thursday, Ronnie Adams of the Screaming Boy podcast put up a show that never made it to air. It's his discussion.
Much like the rest of the Screaming Boy podcast.
He titled it "Let's Go to the Arcade." So it's him and a bunch of the boys talking nostalgia over their experiences with the old arcade. This weekend, we got two movies that don't suck coming up. We did an interview with the people from Power Man 5000. Plus, they reviewed Tetris and D&D this week. I got to go back and look. I know it was Tetris and something. So that'll be up later this week. Robert will maybe have an Everyone Loves a Bad Guy for us. Who knows?
Probably. And then no one will miss it.
We are in the era of Middle Hammer of Dooms when my son, the apple of my eye, the joy of my life, my favorite fan, he was born is what happened. And I had to be with him and father him as you do, chest to chest. It was, pan to parenting, whatever the fuck they call it. Anyway, so Robert Cooper was running the Metal Hammer of Doom with a bunch of special friends. And this week
he ran it into the ground.
No, his shit did well. So this week he did a Mayhem career retrospective. So if you're into the old black metal, check out his Mayhem career retrospective, which will be up this Sunday. Next week, there's an unspoken issues for G.I. Joe Extreme. There'll probably be a page from something old from source material up the same day. We'll be reviewing Renfield. And hey, Alexis, who is fucking on Renfield? It's you, me, Robert, Jason, and Dorian.
Yep, Mr. Dorian Price will be coming in to talk with us about that, and he will
Hi.
also be going in the week after that to discuss Evil Dead Rises.
5 people.
That's the limit, and you know it.
No, 4 is the limit. You're messing up my numbers.
We'll
Anyway.
make 5. No, 5 can work. 6 is where we really can't go.
No, I'm never going to do 6. All right, so yes, 87 people will be on this podcast. Alexis, Robert, Jason, myself, and Dorian Price. Not related to Vincent Price, presumably. We'll be discussing Renfield the next Tuesday on Damn You Hollywood. We'll also have a Metal Hammer of Doom jukebox. We are going to review Metallica 72 Seasons. We'll play some music videos, and we'll probably do a list ranking the 100 greatest Metallica albums of all time. They haven't made 100 albums, but all of my lists tend to be way too long, so I want to keep the pattern. With that said, and on Friday the 21st, I'm going to go to the Sexy Playhouse to do karaoke, but the rest of you nerds can listen to Jesse Starcher's Shaka Khan podcast. I don't know what this is. It says Shakan, Chakan. I don't know what comic that is, but I don't know what Jesse does anymore. He ran away from me and he does his own thing now, so I don't understand anything.
And we support him in his attempts to
get away from me.
Get away from a toxic relationship.
He's mine and nobody else can have him. Speaking of which, Zach Strobel, show us where you pissed from.
Oh, it's that kind of podcast. Okay,
you've got to get a better line.
No, I
overused that.
Married to that one for the time being.
You're I can't.
I'm married to that as I'm married to everyone else in my.
You don't want me. I might actually hurt your feelings. I don't want to do that. So I'm.
All right, Zach Strobel, go do your thing.
Well, anyway, let me do my narrator voice. Hey, you! Do you? I know you like video games and movies, but do you also like books? Books are pretty cool too.
Yeah, Mark.
I wrote some books for children, and they're on Amazon. We've got great books for very low prices, like Dinosaurs on the Moon.
This is going to take forever. I have to pee.
He does have to pee, yes. So you can find them on Amazon if you go to the little search bar and type in Zachary Strobel, which is my name there. You will find lots of good books there. And I'm done.
Do you have any new books in the works, Zach?
Actually, no. I would like to write one about fish. I haven't really. I'm having a lot of writer's block, but if anyone interested in a book about fish that has good morals, I'm down to collaborate.
Well, maybe you and I should come up with something. We've been talking about wanting to do more projects together since I I didn't fully illustrate a book. I did the cover for one of your books.
Yes, Deborah, the retail worker.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's not that bad.
I've worked retail. It's that bad.
Well, you should check out the book, Robert. Especially with all the low prices on Amazon, which is also your favorite thing on earth.
Amazon that spent $160 million on air. We bashed earlier.
I'm not good at sales.
Former sponsor, Amazon.com. Yeah.
Look, if Amazon, I am willing to curtail my criticism if Amazon is willing to throw money at us.
I mean, if they can throw $160 million on air, I don't know why they can't throw some money at us. Like,
they can throw $1 million. They can throw $1 million at Pantsless Productions to play nice.
Exactly. All right, you done there, Strobel?
I'm never really done. But I'll temporarily cease.
Alexis, Hejna, show us where you pissed from.
All right. Well, mentioning the upcoming shows, we also have, we're going to be doing 3rd season of The Mandalorian on April 24th. That's going to be me, Andrew, David Wright, reaching out to a couple of our other guys, seeing who wants to come on. So we got that. Zach, you and I are actually looking at the upcoming oh God, what is it? It's the new Muppets TV show that's coming out on
Muppet
Disney Plus.
Mayhem,
Yeah, about the Electric Mayhem. So we're looking at that. Mark, you said you might be interested in joining us. I know you're a huge Muppets fan.
I am definitely an Electric Mayhem fan, so I might check that out.
Mark loves the Muppets.
I do.
He doesn't
Yeah.
love every project that involves them, but as a concept, he loves the Muppets.
Well, Mark, you and I have done previous Muppet reviews. We did that Muppet show that did on Disney Plus, where it was more like a web series, and we looked at the Muppets Haunted Mansion, which I think we both gave a pretty good review to.
Yeah,
So
the
those
Muppet stuff on Disney has been solid so far. I have no major complaints. So I want to give this a chance just because I was always a big fan of like VH1's behind the music and like music biographies and stuff like that. So if this is playing with that motif, it'll win me over. And then you have just the inherent funniness of the Electric Mayhem band. So that's why I'm willing to come out of TV retirement and give this one a shot.
All right. And hopefully, if I can talk to Jesse and we can actually get things done, we are hoping to bring back Tripto Trivia this month. And in honor of the movie that's currently breaking all the banks and making all the critics cry, we're hopefully doing Nintendo Trivia. It's not just Mario, that's Mario, Metroid, Punch-Out, Star Fox, Zelda, all the classics. So if you are interested,
Leisure Suit Larry.
If you're interested in being on the show, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter. Let us know if you think that your Nintendo it's like, let's see if you can play with the power.
Leisure Suit Larry played with the power. Arr.
You know, Mark, I need
What?
an
An intervention?
No, what I need is okay. Here's what we need to do as Pantsless Productions. Okay.
Yes,
Here's what
sir.
I
I'm
want.
all ears.
We need to do a remake of The Wizard. It's an
about the-
obscure. Hang on, this is an obscure movie, but it deals expressly with video games, and it features a zealous child welfare worker chasing down our protagonist and constantly getting beaten up. And I
Isn't
need
there a
you
scene where
to
he
play
goes
yourself.
after them and he nearly gets them, and then the girl screams in a
Yep.
crowded restaurant, "He touched my breasts," so
Yes.
they kick him out, and he actually complains like, "Touched her breast? She doesn't have breasts."
That is the second time that's been referenced this year.
Which
At
would
least.
give you 2 shiny nickels, but it's odd that it happened twice. Now, the funniest payoff to that gag is when her friend, who's a trucker, and one of his buddies like find him on the side of the road and just pull up and go, "So you touched her boobs, huh?"
All right, Alexis Hejna, I
And,
hear you make jewelry and paint houses.
Yes, I do. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. And if you love Nintendo, you love the Mario Brothers, you love video games in general, we have got so much stuff homaging classic video games. If you're a fan of all the power-ups that we saw in this movie and you think we should have seen more, we have our Mario power-ups charm bracelet and hair barrettes. We got the question block earrings. Those are a personal favorite of mine. If you like any other Nintendo games, we got Legend of Zelda stuff as well. If you're not really into Nintendo, we got other stuff for you. We actually have a ton of Fallout and Mass Effect items. And as far as our appearances, we're done for this month, but we are getting ready to head to Indianapolis for the Indiana Comic-Con. And I am pumping my fists in glory, which you currently can't see because I am still broadcasting from the void. But we got off the waiting list and we are going to be appearing at NakaCon in Overland Park, Kansas. This is one of the biggest anime conventions in the Midwest. I am so happy to be returning to that. So as always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Under Duress Twitter. That is Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
Robert Winfree, show us where you pissed from.
I am once again going to ask you to find another setup because it's just not working anymore, man.
Says you.
It's not working, Mark.
I will work
It's
on
not-
it another time.
It's not working out. Spark is gone.
So if I had a nickel.
It's time to move on.
Again, if I had a nickel. Please
You'd have 2, but it's odd that it happened twice.
Please do your picks.
Yeah, there it is. There I hurt his feelings. I'm sorry. All right. As for myself, if you want to find me doing other things, if you're a fan of mixed martial arts and combat sports in general, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast every Sunday evening. So it goes live late or early Monday morning. So I can be your companion as you drive into work talking about the world of MMA. This last week, there was UFC 287, which featured a really wonderful moment to close out the main event with Israel Adesanya knocking out Alex Pereira, as well as I have a full breakdown of that entire card, plus a preview. This coming Saturday is UFC on ESPN 44, headlined by Max Holloway and Arnold Allen. That's a really good fight if you care about that stuff. So give that a listen. I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling for 411mania.com. I cover AEW's Dark Elevation on Monday, which is a really short one this week. It was like 26 minutes. And WWE SmackDown on Friday. So feel free to give those a read and come drag me in the comments for being a critical person, as I had those people come out this last week, and it's always a good time. Because we've entered the post-WrestleMania slump. So all the passionate fans are like, you don't understand. You got to trust the process. You got to watch the story. It'll keep going. And those of us, I pissed off somebody so much. He was talking about, no, you don't understand. The story is just going, and we don't have any say over the story, so you shouldn't complain about it. It's just a story. We've all watched movies and television. I said, yeah, but this might as well have been somehow Palpatine returned. And it really
And he went off the deep end, huh?
I think he blocked me.
Nice.
I was like, I understand it's a story, and you can have bad stories. That's all we're saying here. So tune in for that on Fridays. Again, that's in the Wrestling Zone of 411 Mania. I also pinch hit on occasion whenever something else comes up for Raw, AEW's Dynamite, or various pay-per-views. So you might find me around there. And Saturday, I already mentioned UFC on ESPN 44. So if that interests you, I will be covering it live. And next week, we will be talking the glorious gore fest that is Renfield. And we can talk about how Nicholas Hoult still kind of sucks.
I thought we gave him a good review. I thought we said we liked him as long as he does comedy.
Yeah, that's what it was. The last time we reviewed him, we're like, why were you spending so much time trying to be a serious actor? You're a much better comedic actor.
That was the menu. All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in to our extended review of the Super Mario Brothers. Thanks for Zach Strobel for bringing his posse. Be well, be safe, and behave.